Oh no, my microphone was muted on the actual mixer. How boomer of me to start off the stream. Folks, welcome back. It is Friday. My name is Spencer. You might also know me as Mav. Welcome back to another episode of The Good, the Mav, the Ugly, your number one Friday spot where we just kick back, hang out, try to have some fun, and talk about all the stuff we love in comic books, anime, video games, toku, all that fun stuff. Guys, in case you didn't hear the news, in case you didn't see the thumbnail, we are finally getting all 2D Marvel versus games in a collection. It's coming to the PS4, it's coming to the Switch, and okay, so if you know me, you knew that this was going to be the topic of today's stream because those games they're everything, like in my gaming history, in my gaming taste, is everything. So as you can all probably tell, today I am going to take you guys for a ride. I hope you guys will all come with me. We're going to talk all things Marvel vs. Capcom Fighting Collection. I am still just, everything about that game is just so awesome. Like I'm beyond like excited. And again, there's so much awful crap in the world. I have to watch The Acolyte every week. So, take your W's, take your celebrations where you can. Yes, quick note, because I see some of you are talking about it in the chat, specifically Corey and Andrew. Yes, I was about 5 minutes late to start, and I will tell you why. So, again, it is 400,000 degrees right now in Arizona, and if I was sitting here, I was ready to go, and for some reason the heat just blew up, and I cannot wear a t-shirt for the stream. So I had to go into my closet, scramble to find just one clean tank top, because they're all I'm wearing lately. So that's why it took me a second, but I am here. I am comforted. I've got a breeze going. I'm in my element. We are good to go. So let's kick off tonight's show. Obviously, let's start off as we always do by hitting up the chat, seeing what you guys want to talk about, seeing what you guys have on your minds. Starting with new watcher, Film Watcher 96 saying, Henshin, welcome aboard. Yes, we have another Toku fan. Finally, it's one of the subjects I love talking most about on this show. Unfortunately, that's the audience I still have yet to cultivate. But yeah, no, I'm happy to have you. I hope you stick around. Just for reference, in case you, I think you are new here, but you will hear a lot of Kamen Rider Kabuto love, because that is my hands down favorite writer. And then if we're talking Super Sentai, gotta go with the Kaku Rangers, the ninjas. They are the best ones. So I don't know, just felt like throwing that little bit of trivia out there. Flex, what's up? Flex saying, oh, he got the Mango Sentinel. Oh, he does. I'm going to teach you all how to do an infinite. Are you ready? Are you ready to learn how to do a mother freaking infinite? Because we're going to learn today. And I don't know why I censored myself. This is not a children's show. So, but anyway, yes, I am so excited to talk about Marvel vs. Capcom when we get into it, right? Like, there's just so much. There's just so much. Corey is in the house, along with Andrew, the two who were talking about me being late, and Double Gay, which is complete truth. We have Dante saying, evening, gents. What is going on, Dante? Shinkai says, good Friday. What is going on, Shinkai? Always a pleasure. It's not a show without Shinkai. Zero says, I'm here. And, of course, we got to have you, brother. It is, again, also not a show without you throwing me the support in the back. That sounds awful. Andrew here saying, sweet, glorious Marvel and Capcom collection. Dude, I am just beyond, these games are just, I'm doing, it is taking all of my power right now to not just, explode and start just gushing about everything to do with this game, because I'm itching. I am itching, ladies and gentlemen. Film Watcher, or Shinkai says, a good fighting game. Definitely excited for that. Oh, good? Understatement. Get out. Mods. Where are my mods? Get them out of here. I have absolutely zero mods, so you're probably fine, Shinkai. Film Watcher says, my favorite tokusatsu is Spider-Man. We actually, we talked about the Toku Spider-Man a couple weeks ago. We played a clip from a couple of his fights. I love, Toei Spider-Man. It is bizarre. It is one of those things that, it is a product of that unique moment in history, and it could have never happened if it didn't happen right then and there. And just the way they go sort of all out into the Japanese Toku version with it, with Leopard on and then the gauntlet, everything about it is incredible. I I will admit I am very happy that Marvel has started to recognize that Toei Spider-Man exists in recent years. Obviously, we've seen him in a bunch of Spider-Verse comic books. He's going to be making an appearance in the next Spider-Verse movie. Pardon me. We've gotten a few figures of him. I know we got at least a Marvel Legends. I think there might have been a Figuarts, but it was like a very, very limited run print of it. But so like I'm glad we're getting that kind of stuff. Like I love Toei Spider-Man. I want to see more figures. I want to add them to my collection. I just there's something that we talk about here on the show all the time. You guys all know this is the rampant like, even though they won't admit it, the American entertainment industry and anybody who considers themselves like a critic or an arbiter of what is taste, right? Like a tastemaker in the West, they all have some very, very, very obvious and I would say probably unconscious. They probably don't recognize that they even do this, but the Western entertainment industry hates Japanese stuff, whether it's Japanese culture, creators, artwork, all that stuff. Part of it is they're threatened by the quality and all that stuff encroaching on the industry over here. The other half is just, yeah, like they don't want to give, you know, it's just base racism. Like, oh, those silly islanders can't make anything that's as good as our stuff. So because of that, I feel like the way Marvel has treated Toei Spider-Man in recent years is not with the like right reverence or even treating him as a character. It's more like, haha, funny meme. Isn't that Spider-Man so goofy? Haha, isn't Japanese toku so weird? Isn't it so whack? Who would ever like that kind of stuff? And so it's really, really hard. I mean, in Spider-Verse, they had Leopardon, they had Spider-Man summon Leopardon, and then Morlun takes off his arm, like Leopardon the mech, he just rips off his arm and like skewers him with his own sword vigor. And it's like that. I know that is Dan Slott, and Dan Slott is just a terrible writer, right? I mean, there's just no way around that. And there is that other asterisk to that point, which is, if you guys remember, Dan Slott is a big like, if like I'm going to break the toys that everybody else is playing. Like, you don't like what I'm doing, then I'm going to go break what you're doing because you should be paying attention to me. If you guys remember the original Spider-Verse series, like the very, very, very first one that kicked this all off, one of the sort of gimmicks Dan Slott had in a lot of the issues was after the main story, there would be about 3 or 5 vignettes where Morlun would be hopping across the multiverse and he would be going and brutally, like, not just like beating other versions of Spider-Man, but like going and brutalizing all of these fan favorite versions of Spider-Man. The two that obviously come to the top of my head are the Spider-Man and the Amazing Friends Spider-Man, who just got completely shredded, like a brutal crime scene, and then Marvel versus Capcom Spider-Man, funny enough, where Morlun comes in, Spider-Man does all of his moves against him, and Morlun one-hit KOs him. So it's just like, that, I mean, so a lot of that has to do with Dan Slott, but you also sort of see that in just the way Marvel keeps bringing him up as a novelty, right? Like the most respect Marvel has given to Spider-Man in ever is probably that episode of Marvel 616 where they talk about the history of it. And even then, that episode has that air of like, this is really, really too goofy for me. Like, I don't know if I want to be dealing with this. So that is a very long roundabout way of saying I love the Spider-Man toku, and I wish Marvel would. I just wish the West in general would be more open to toku and more respectful of like why we all like it, what its appeal is, because there's so much to offer there, and like, I don't know. There's just so much to offer there. There's so much to get into, whether it's books or comics or video games, just so much stuff. I mean, we talked last week, right, guys? Or maybe 2 weeks ago, we are in America. We're on the precipice of, or we are in a huge toku resurgence right now. And remember, we brought it up because somehow Power Ranger or Hasbro dropped the ball with Power Rangers and is missing out on this window to capitalize on it. So yes, give me more Spider-Man. Give me. I genuinely hope he does something cool, authentically cool in the next Spider-Verse movie. Otherwise, they already screwed up Ben in the first movie, and that is like a personal insult. And I'm gonna hunt down whoever decided that they were going to take Ben Reilly, Give him Andy Samberg as a voice, which is like, I love Andy Samberg. He's one of my favorite comedians. Lonely Island is absolutely hands down just incredible. So I hear that casting, I see that feature announcement and go, whoa, 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 I'm so excited. Ben's here. And then they go, okay, we're just going to make you an edgy 90s parody and give you 3 lines. And then you're out by the end of the movie. And it's just like, why do you have to do that to me, Marvel? So yes, let's go Spider-Man. Let's see. Shinkai says, beautiful fighting games. Is that good enough? Aha. It is a beautiful fighting game. Side note, I miss Beautiful Joe. I really want a new Beautiful Joe video game. Again, we are in the Toku resurgence era. Let's get that stuff off the ground, Capcom. I know people would lose their minds for like a good, solid Beautiful Joe game, especially with like updated graphics and like there's, we have better anti-aliasing technology, we have better like lighting technology and stuff nowadays. I'm not saying make Beautiful Joe look realistic, that would be completely stupid, but the art style of Joe could be completely refined into something beautiful. Think the leap between Marvel vs. Capcom 2 and Marvel vs. Capcom 3. Again, I am excited. We are going to be talking about that. We have my friend Leon came right in as we're talking Japanese Spider-Man, and we're ragging on Dan Slott. Damn, what a good night. Hey, what is going on, Leon, my man? In case you guys did not see my appearance over on his show, oh my gosh, is that 2 weeks ago now? Time flies. I hate being an adult, mostly because your perception of time is now dilated, for lack of a better term, right? Remember when you were a kid and you hit December and it was like, oh my God, Christmas is in a month. How am I going to survive? And every day was agony. And you were just like, how do I get there? I got to go to sleep. I got to go to bed. There's 2 more days, Mom. It's Christmas tomorrow. And now as an adult, it's like, holy shit, I thought it was October. I gotta buy like Christmas presents for all these like idiots. Okay, here we go. So yeah, I don't even know how I got to that point about being an adult and losing track of time, but that is like my biggest thing. Oh yeah, that's right. I was talking about your stream. Yeah, bro, we're halfway through 2024. Time is escaping us and I hate it. Dude, I know. So for those of you who don't know, but most of you do know by now because you guys were there. You all talked to me over on Twitter. It meant the world to me. But last week was my birthday. June 22nd is my birthday. And my birthday is the exact half point of the year. It is the first full official day of summer. Summer technically starts on the 21st, but it doesn't like kick in until like 7 o'clock at night. It's really stupid. But anyway, so like my birthday is the exact like half like cutoff point. So as soon as we like every June, I have a double existential crisis because it's like I'm getting older and I don't know where the first half of this year went. Let's see. Film Watcher says it felt like Hasbro killed off Power Rangers. So we do talk about this topic a lot over here, Film Watcher, and for the sake of everybody who was here last week, I will only give a brief recap. The long and short of it is you are not wrong. Essentially, Hasbro, what we have learned over the past weeks is that the purchase of Power Rangers and a bunch of other brands was done without the consultation of the overall Hasbro company. It was done by their former CEO who unfortunately passed away in 2019. So that the current CEO, Chris Cox, he was left to sort of pick up the pieces. So Hasbro didn't want any of that. And the main producer, so A, Hasbro didn't want the franchise, and B, the main creative producer director on the television series over like the last like 5 things, Simon Bennett, he was actively of the mindset that if we want Power Rangers to grow, we have to get away from its Toku roots. We've got to change it. Americans don't like this goofy crap. They can't take this seriously. We got to change that. So there was just a very big attitude of, who cares about this? This is really stupid. Nobody really wants to play with it across the entire company at every level. So there was no enthusiasm. There was no support being given to it. Again, that's sort of what I've been mentioning. If anybody over there would have cared, they would be making insane amounts of money on Power Rangers right now by writing the tokusatsu wave that's been picking up here over in America, especially with the release of things like Shin Kamen Rider or Godzilla -1. So there was just a big, tremendous so it's a combination of nobody wanted it, they didn't know what to do with it, and now they're sort of just in this position where they're trying to recoup whatever losses they can. They've licensed out all of their toy production to Playmates, which, good luck, those toys are going to be awful quality, and they canceled all of their plans to make a new rebooted young adult Power Rangers cinematic universe. The television show is currently on ice. It's been canceled. All the newest thing you are going to get, and I bring this up all the time because this is just sort of the state of Power Rangers, and nothing really illustrates it better than this. Let's see. I just got to pull up the image. So, yeah, like nobody over there at Hasbro cared about the IP. Nobody wanted to use it. Nobody knows what to do with it. You can sort of see that being evidenced in the fact that they keep going back to Mighty Morphin. Everything is Mighty Morphin. New toy set, new toy set, Mighty Morphin. New television special, Mighty Morphin. New video game, Mighty Morphin. So they oversaturated with that. They didn't pay any attention to any of their other products. And as you know, the older Power Rangers fans, they've had their fill. They know Mighty Morphin. They're like good. They've had their toy lines. The younger fans, they don't know what Mighty Morphin is. That wasn't the team they were growing up with. So you're actively setting yourself up to see declining sales. And then, so the only real thing right now that we are getting from Power Rangers is a video game. The Rita's Revenge game by Digital Eclipse looks fine. It doesn't look very inspired. It looks very generic and safe. It is Mighty Morphin, right? But to that, here is a shot from the debut trailer of that game of the 5 Rangers themselves in their civilian forms. And it's the original 5, so it's what's his name? It's Billy, Trini, Kimberly, Zach, and Jason. And so keep that in mind. This is the only product that's coming out from Hasbro with Power Rangers related. It is a big video game thing that they're trying to put out there, and they went, oh, this is Mighty Morphin, let's celebrate this, right? This is just the perfect metaphor. What the hell is this? Is like really, really, really bad. I don't even, you guys all know where this artwork shows up. This is like the artwork somebody draws when they think, like, draw me a person. Like, I can't even explain how bad this is. Like, you guys can see me. I'm stuttering over here, right? Exactly, Film Watcher. What the hell is that Billy hair? That's not Billy. Barely any of these guys look like themselves. I was joking with a bunch of my friends the other day when we were looking at this, where Jason over there, Austin St. John, they turned him from white to Filipino. What happened there? I have no idea what's happening. Kimberly looks like strung out. Zach just looks like stocky and blocky. This looks really, really bad. And this is the level of effort they're putting into the cinematics for this game. So there's just, nobody cares over there. They don't respect this. They don't respect what Toku is at all. They don't get the appeal of it, and they don't want to try and get the appeal of it. So this is the best effort they are going to put out, right? The best equivalent I can sort of give is if anybody here has like a young nephew or a niece or a cousin or something, right? They might be into something like Paw Patrol or I genuinely don't know what kids watch these days. Doing drugs on TikTok. I don't know, but I don't even know where I was going with that, but because I'm just like so taken aback by how ugly this. It's just, there's no respect here, and because they don't respect it, they're never. Oh, that's what I was trying to say. So if you have like a younger like relative or somebody you know, and you go hang out with them, they might get into something, and they might be like, oh, hey, Film Watcher, hey, Timon, hey, Leon, hey, Flex, hey, Andrew, hey, Zero, hey, do you want to come watch Paw Patrol with me? Do you want to go watch Spidey and His Amazing Friends with me? Do you want to go watch Inside Out 2 with me? And for us, it might not be the complete, like we'll go, okay, like, sure, we'll get into it. And we know it's not for us, but we'll appease them. We'll be like, okay, yeah, that's cool. We'll watch it. We might not enjoy it, but we'll be like, I'm doing this for you. That's how Hasbro treats Power Rangers, and the West just generally treats Japanese entertainment. So, long story short of that, Power Rangers is in a really, really, really bad spot right now, like most Western properties, and I don't think it's going to get any better. And at this point, I can't even begin to speculate what its future could look like unless somebody over at Hasbro gets their butt in gear and decides, let's go bring in a Toku YouTuber or somebody who knows what they're doing. We're just going to keep seeing this forever and ever and ever. So buckle up, I guess. But yeah, Power Rangers is not being handled very well at all right now. Yes, Flex, and that's what I mean, right? SPD is the GOAT. So many people love SPD. There are so many that was, I know you guys are probably sick of me hearing this, but I'm here now. That is the core appeal of the Power Rangers franchise, is you have a thing continually building, but every year there is a new team for everybody to get into. So, like a parent, their favorite team might be like me. It might be the Kaku Rangers. But then a child, they might like the Samurai Rangers. They might like Beast Morphers. They might like any of that stuff, the Magi Rangers. They might like that when it comes down the line. And it's sort of, fandom begets fandom begets fandom, right? Because then the parent introduces the Samurai kid to Power Rangers. Samurai kid likes Samurai, introduces their kid likes Beast Morpher. Beast Morpher kid introduces their kid likes Magi Ranger. Magi Ranger introduces their kid to Power Rangers. It's whatever's on right now. So it is a brand that in theory should be very, very, very easy to keep leveraging into success, and it's just not. It is a testament to the business failures of Hasbro, and again, just the just bad state of how the West looks at Japan. Yeah, exactly. As Film Watcher says, Zach is not that buff. No, he's not. None of these guys look like them. When did when did Jason ever wear this hoodie shredded thing? I know what he wore. It was always like a red tank top or a red, loose fitting gym shirt, because what better way to hide your secret identity than by hiding in literal plain sight? Let's see. Andrew says, I stopped a few episodes into Zeo, loved Mighty Morphin, but then said, nah, I'm K. Right? And so that's sort of I'm sure that's what happened with a lot of people. I know that a lot of people didn't keep going. I mean, I think I went into Zeo Turbo. I think that might have been where I hit 12 years old or whatever and started getting into anime, and so that fell on the back burner. It's, again, not every season is for everyone, but the magic of it is, if it's still going, you could go, if you had a kid, Andrew, it's like, oh, hey, I like the Mighty Morphin team, what's this going? And you can bond, and you can connect, and you can keep going. Not every team, and that's, I think, one of the beautiful things about the Toku annual format, right? You might not like this Kamen Rider. You might not like this Ultraman. You might not like this Super Sentai team. Okay, they'll be gone in a year, and we'll try something new. It is one of the things, oh man, Film Watcher says, I went right into the end with Cosmic. It was yikes. Yeah, Cosmic Fury is not great. Again, in the suits, I will never get over how ugly the Cosmic Fury suits are, because they decided, we don't need Sentai for this, we can make it our own, and it's really, really bad. There was, this is so funny. Here, I can find the picture. Let me find this picture real quick. Wrong button. I use it in a lot of these Power Rangers articles, so I know I'm going to be able to find it really fast. But 1 second. There he is. So Zaito from Dino Fury, Cosmic Fury, like the sort of leader, or not even the leader. He was more like he was the Sixth Ranger. He was the special, he was the Sixth Ranger. He was the Tommy, right? And so A, these suits are just awful. They're not great. But B, did you guys know in Cosmic Fury, he was supposed to be a White Ranger. So the actor who plays Zaito is black. When they were making Cosmic Fury, he was supposed to get, his proper Sixth Ranger upgrade into a Black Ranger, or into a White Ranger. And Hasbro went, that could be a little racist. I don't know about that. We better err away from that. And so now he's like this ugly champagne gold ranger. It's really, really stupid. But I don't know why I wanted to bring that up. But yeah, that's what I mean, Andrew. This is This is what happens when you let the West make their own original Power Ranger suits. Let's see. I know I have more shots of these awful suits. Oh yeah, here they are. These are the bad boys. Like, oh no, wait, I gotta clip it over here so it pops up normal. Like, this is what happens when you get like no Sentai influence. You get one solid block of color and MCU lines. Like, these designs are just really, really, really bad. So the franchise is definitely in a hole. I don't know where it's going, if it's going to come back, when it will. Hopefully someday it does, because I know even as an adult, like, Power Rangers is fun to watch. I can, again, you can enjoy, if you know how to enjoy things and you don't have it stick up your butt and aren't worried about what people will think of you when you're watching things, you're going to have a lot of fun when you get into Toku. That's all I'm going to say. Yes, exactly, Andrew. I think I need to get checked for retinoblastoma. It's awful. This will give you actual cancer. And let's see. Was that? Oh, that's the only other shot I have of those suits. It's just, yeah. They're not great. These are so ugly. I didn't even notice, guys. I didn't even realize that the MCU like diamond grid over here on their sides is only on one side. This is MCU Western character design to a T, and it's just pretty bad. I kind of like the helmets, but they're also not that much different from the Dino Fury helmets, and that's really all I can say for it. Yeah, exactly, Volume Dealer. Volume Dealer's right there with me. I like the helmets. Yep, see? The helmets have a pretty cool design, but then everything else, as soon as you get down from the neck, everything just goes completely out the window. Orange and green, somehow they did DEI. I mean, yeah, exactly. But that's not even orange. I would be way better with an orange ranger. That's a gold ranger. That's Zayato, because they didn't want to make him a white ranger because oh no, we're gonna get accused of being racist and stuff. Like, it's so bad. Shinkai says, I didn't think it was possible to have a lower budget than old Scooby-Doo episodes. It's bad. I can't even get into it. All I can really say is it's bad. If you have Netflix, you can check it out. It's all on there. It's not really worth your time. The fights aren't even fun to watch. It gets even worse because Cosmic Fury bounces off of the Once and Forever or Once and Future Ranger, whatever the hell that special was. And so it's just more Mighty Morphin fan wink. It's more Zach and Billy coming up to, show the team how to do everything. And it's just like, I'm done with the Mighty Morphin team. Can we please see anybody else? Like, at this point, it's not special anymore. Back in the day, like, during the, there were a few instances back in the day where Tommy would show up in full, like, Green Ranger outfit. And that was cool because it was so rare. It was, like, maybe once every, like, 17 seasons or something. But nowadays, it's like everything is Mighty Morphin. Yeah, I already went over that. I don't have to I don't have to cycle over it, but you guys know what I'm talking about. Oh, Film Watcher says, no, I'm talking about the green and orange ranger. The orange was Izzy's girlfriend. Yeah, I totally forgot about that. You're right. I totally forgot about the actual orange ranger because, again, I think I watched Cosmic Fury once and just went, this is like the Acolyte for Power Rangers, where things are just in there to be in there. The person running the show doesn't care about what they're working with, and we're also expected to eat the slop up. It was really bad. I'm glad it's over. I hope somebody can do something better with the IP, but at this point, it's going to take a complete overhaul. Yep, Film Watcher, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Shinkai says, I liked when Operation Overdrive brought in random rangers. I liked that. Like, I like when we see, so this is something we sort of talk about all the time over here, right? And I use my Star Wars example a lot. One of the things I like a lot about the Power Rangers Sentai setup, where you keep having new teams like every year, is that you can bring in all these different like Rangers to come back and fight and different allies and ooh, oh, like that's gonna be so cool. Who's gonna show up this? Oh, it's Turbo. Oh, it's Zeo green. Oh, it's SPD yellow. Like that is really cool, and it makes the world feel big. Like there are all these teams going around and doing all these fights and saving the world, and maybe the fight over in this prefecture of Japan is uninvolved with that one, but you know, they send one ranger over. It makes it feel alive and like things are happening. When you keep focusing on Mighty Morphin and you say everything is connected to Mighty Morphin and everything we do has to center on the Mighty Morphin crew, it's literally like Star Wars, where everything has to center on the Skywalker crew. Everything has to center on those 5 characters. It ends up making everything feel really small and really just predictable. For example, one of the best... Oh, man, I didn't even see... Yes, Flex is ahead of me because that's literally what I was about to bring up. One of the best moments... And here, I'm going to find a picture because I know that... I keep hitting that wrong button to take my face away. That is completely on me. I don't know why I'm boomering that, but where is... I know that I have used that picture before, and it is such a cool visual that we are going to use it while we talk. If I can find it. Yeah, everybody's favorite part of the stream. When we go looking for pictures to put on screen. Oh, man. Really? I would have sworn that I... Oh, okay, there we go. I do have it. I do have it. Worry not, everyone. Worry not. I have it. Bum, 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 bum. Blow it up. Blow it up, blow it up, blow it up, up. Yes, so that's literally what I was about to bring up is Forever Red. If you guys don't know this episode, it's from both the Sentai show and from Power Rangers. There is an episode, I believe in Power Rangers, it is in Megaforce. I forget, oh no, it's Wild Force. Thank you, Film Watcher. Wild Force is the one where this happens. Forget where it happens in Sentai, but basically, it's what's on the tin. All the Rangers return to help Beast Wild Force Red fight. And, you know, this is a really hype moment. You've got everybody here, like, just super cool moment. If we try to do this again now, I mean, they are trying to do this again now. If they try to do this sort of fan service, everybody's back fight moment, it's only going to be the old Power Rangers. Literally, that's all it is. Or it's the Mighty Morphin team all the time now. That was the ending climax of that once and always Ranger stupid special was... Oh, all the original team is back together now, except Trini's daughter, because Trini is dead, and we gotta somehow dance around that. Oh, and no Kimberly, it's Kat instead. So, yeah, that's sort of what I mean. This makes it feel like, whoa, we live in a really big, expansive universe of everything. Like, there are Rangers, they have to fight. And if it's just, oh, we gotta go find the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. Oh, we gotta go find the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. Oh, we gotta go find the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. It's just like, okay, then why don't... It feels like, why don't you, okay, just start by going to them. Why are you guys even a team if you're always teaming up with them, if you need them to solve everything? It's just, it doesn't feel, it's not fun. Move on from the Mighty Morphin. And yeah, I guess that's all we really have to say about Power Rangers. And then yeah, Film Watcher, shout out to Shout Factory for physical releases of Sentai and Kamen Rider. Obviously this is your first time watching, but I regularly bring up, when it comes to physical releases of Toku, I am very, very mad because for some reason every series, whether like every Kamen Rider series, every Ultraman series, every Sentai series, it is a gamble as to like which publisher is going to make and distribute that series. Like, is it going to be Shout Factory? Is it going to be Discotech? Is it going to be there's another one who's doing like that old Three Riders special movie that I can't remember, but I have it on order. Oh, Media Blasters. Like, is it Media Blasters? Or is it Mill Creek? And I just want consistency, right? Like, I just want... So here, let me show you guys something. So this is sort of what I'm talking about. Take this real quick. We're going to go over here. So you can see right there, they're those are my Kamen Rider ones, right? And they're all different, like, publishers. So the spines are different. The art is different. It bugs me a little bit. But when I go to Ultraman, all the Ultraman ones are in a nice, like, red steel bookcase. They're all uniform. and that's because they come from the same distributor. That's Mill Creek. So that's just what I want to see more of. Man, now I gotta like futz with the green screen and get this all back into right position. Okay, cool, we're good. Let's see. Timon says, I want an only black Sentai movie. My favorite character is Change Griffin Hayate from Changeman. That would be, that's a good point. I don't think we've ever seen another, like a non all red team up. Like let's get, an all blue team up. Let's get an all green. You could do it. Japan could, I know how they love their cores. They're like 4-season cores. So you can, sorry, I blanked there for a second because I saw Film Watcher said they even released Ultra Q, and I read that as they didn't even release Ultra Q, and I was confused because I'm like, Film, I'm watching it, right? Like I'm looking at it right now. I just showed you, but I read that wrong. Yeah, exactly. Mill Creek treated them so good, even released Ultra Q. Those are some of the best releases. Like I would highly recommend you pick them up. Those releases, by the way, the Mill Creek Ultraman, they regularly go on sale on Amazon for like $15-20. Super steal. Gotta get on that. Like highly recommend it anytime you can. Like definitely worth it, hands down. Let's see. Jingo says, oh hey, what's up? Jingo says, did you see the latest messages I sent on Twitter? No, I have not. I will check all my work stuff after this. I had things I was taking care of in the afternoon, and then I obviously had the show, so I haven't been checking bounding stuff yet, but that's all for me to take care of later tonight. And then yes, Timon, watch Changeman and Flashman. Like watch all of those old ones. Like watch Jetman, watch Jack Q. Like I love all of those classic ones a lot. There is a huge charm to 1960s, 70s guerrilla shooting on the street without permit effects. Let's see. 1 second. Film Watcher says, if you're into manga, the 7 Seas release of Kamen Rider manga is cool. You mean that one? I got you. I already know what's going on. Wing! Luckily, thankfully, that one has been localized and it's been translated. We're starting to get more Toku love, so more comics are being translated. It's kind of a crapshoot when it comes to non-video media for Tokusatsu, because you've got, like, that 7 Seas release of the old classic manga, great, it's fantastic. But then you had a recent American localization release of the Kamen Rider Kuga manga, which was awful because it was just machine translated. Like somebody just went into Google and threw it all in there. Yep, exactly, Film. You know I'm right there with you. So they just auto-translated it all, and it was really bad. And then, sort of related, side related, we got about 2 years ago now, maybe 3, again, time flies, when 01 came out, Kamen Rider 01, we got a Western-produced Kamen Rider 01 series by, what's his name? The author of it is actually not bad. I actually have all 5 of those issues because, so obviously, like most people, over the last few years, I haven't been reading comic books anymore. I gave all of that up kind of post Cataclysm, post like bringing Miles Morales into the main ultimate, or like the main universe. Around that era is sort of when I stopped doing comic books because everything just sort of got out of control. Stories were bad. They've been like that forever. But the one thing I picked up during that time was the Kamen Rider 01 comic, because you gotta support. Unfortunately, this is one of those instances where that stuff can end up biting you in the butt, because here, I'm still just trying to find the author's name. It is not giving it to me. Brandon Easton. If you guys don't know who Brandon Easton is, well, you should. He's the guy who let me crack this open. I was just looking at it the other day. He does a lot of Transformer stuff for IDW. He did the Mask series for IDW a couple years ago. So he's got his chops. He's not a bad writer. And the problem was with the 01 Western comic, it was not edited well. There was some really bad art mistakes. It just, you could tell that there was the attention to detail and stuff, the care was not there. And fans we all saw it, we all knew it, we could all tell, like, oh, this is kind of rough. Problem was, while, like, here's the thing. You get a rough comic book, if somebody comes out and they say, you're right, we screwed up, we're trying, let us make this right, you might not be happy, but you'll go, at least they're trying, that's respectable, you know, they're taking their L's, yada yada. When fans started bringing up how bad the quality of the 0-1 comic was, Easton came out and was like, wow, I never thought everybody would be so entitled about a few mistakes. Instead of celebrating the fact that you're getting Kamen Rider stories, you're whining that it's not perfect. And it's like, dude, no, eat my ass. Like, we're not going to just eat slop because it has a brand label on it, right? Like, that is the consumer mentality. That's the Marvel mentality. That's not what most media franchises, what their fans want. When a bad entry comes out, people will call out the bad entry, unless, again, unless they are a diehard supporter. So that was a big unfortunate bit to it. The point of me bringing this all up, actually, is that if you love Kamen Rider, my biggest, or even if you don't really know Kamen Rider all that well, I would highly recommend you guys go check out, and yes, you should pirate, or you can pirate it. You have to pirate it. It's the only way it's available, so no legal repercussions here. The Kamen Rider Black manga series. It's like Kamen Rider Black, Kamen Rider Black Spirits. It is fantastic. It's got some of the best, like, artwork, imagery. It's so cool. Every page of that manga makes the inner, like, 14-year-old in you go like, yeah, that's so cool. So, yeah, I want that manga to be translated really soon because why not? Why haven't we gotten it yet? It's so good. But yeah, time, right? That's all we need at this point is time. Things are coming over. Things are being localized. I mean, we got the video games. We got Climax Scramble. We got Memory of Heroes with a North American local, like an actual localized release. So it's going to take time. And as always, keep on all of these producers, these publishers, whatever, for quality control, because you don't want your favorite franchises going down the Star Wars route of the Acolyte. Let's see. Yeah, exactly, Film Watcher. Don't call Flying Falcon Flaming Tiger 0-1 comic. Exactly. Lots of issues with it. Just a big general disappointment, and just one of those absolutely stellar ways of how you do not handle that stuff. And yeah, that's a good point, Film Watcher. The publisher behind both the 0-1 comic and that Kuga, like, manga, both of them which have their problems, was both Stonebot Publishing, which I believe is based in, it's somewhere in Latin America. I want to say it's like Brazil or Argentina. I think it's Argentina. But yeah, both of it came from them, and it was just kind of disappointing. And give the license to Udon. Udon is like the best when it comes to handling and localizing Japanese stuff. They're pretty much the only ones who give a care about it. You know, shout out to Matty Moylan, the I don't even know what his official title is, but he used to draw Lil Formers. He is like Udon's chief print something. I don't remember. He rules. He's on Twitter all the time. You can tell that guy cares about giving the fans like the best experience, the best package for what they want. So more of that, please. Oh wow, you actually did it. Yeah, there we have Film Watcher himself says, I had it out with Brandon over the Kuga manga. Actually, he tried to defend the Volume 1 translation. Yes. Oh man, you and I, we were right there in the trenches together, brother. We were probably side by side. Jingo says, yes, comics are very bad now, and rather than getting hyped to read a new comic, you are dreading characters you like getting further destroyed. I mean, that's pretty much been the status quo for a while now. Thank God for the Ultimate books, because the Ultimate books have been actually really, really good, and they treat the characters with respect. I just pulled up the I read earlier today, DC just started their new crossover event, Absolute Power. It's basically, what if Amanda Waller, how does Amanda Waller take down the Justice League? Oh, she takes away their powers. What is a world like that like? It's very like the Nightmare scenario from like Zack Snyder's Justice League, just with like everybody depowered. think the X-Men Days of Future Past, right? That's exactly what it is, where everybody is in internment camps. They don't have their powers. They're super powered robots flying around monitoring them. It's just that. And the comic is just, it treats everybody's character like they're not who they are. I mean, this is what's hard for me in general with DC right now. Ever since DC did the whole everything is canon, like all stories have happened, nothing really matters. I've personally just felt that, one, there are no stakes to anything in DC, because we talk about this problem being sort of the magic wipe, like, or the magic like reset button always exists, where people can like, they can retcon things if they need to or whatever. And because with DC's move to canonize everything, there's just no tension, because, oh, something went wrong, we can just pull somebody from the multiverse, and they always existed. That version was always here. Don't even worry about it. And so there's no stakes. And then it just feels like when you have an unlimited, like, toolbox to play with, like if you have like a kitchen full of all the best ingredients, or a giant library in front of you of all video games, or somebody said, here, you could read any of these comic books, and they opened up like the National Library, and it was just wall to wall, like Beauty and the Beast books. When there's a thing to creativity where if you have too much freedom, the human mind will freeze unless you knew what you wanted to do, right? Like, you got all those ingredients and were like, all right, I knew I wanted to make a pizza, we're going for that. Or you went into the library and you were like, I'm looking for Spider-Man comics. If you're just going, let me see, people will get overwhelmed. They'll kind of lose themselves. They'll kind of be left to their own devices. And for better or worse, they're allowed to build however they want, free of any rules or restrictions. That, in terms of serialized storytelling, that doesn't always work, because we need continuity. We need things making sense. Otherwise, when we turn that page, that last page didn't matter because all the rules were thrown out the window, then why am I even turning all of these pages if everything is just a single instance vignette? And so it's just, yeah, I kind of just lost my thought there because I looked over at the chat, but with DC, yeah, like that's just my problem now, is that everything, they have all the freedom, so everything is just sort of like, throw it out the wall and we'll do it. Like we did Titan's Beast World, which was kind of dumb. We had Lazarus Planet, which, you know what the plot of Lazarus Planet was here's a mysterious event that's giving everybody superpowers. That's just a day in a DC or a Marvel universe. You know what I mean? Now we have absolute power, which is just like we've retread this a million times before. The only thing that gives me any slight bit of interest in absolute power is, one, it's being drawn by Dan Mora, who is easily a top 3 artist in the game right now. He is the artist who is currently on World's Finest, and he is the one who was responsible for the early Boom Power Rangers books. He was the lead artist on those. So the man is a very, very good artist, and so I'm excited to see what he draws. And 2, the series is being written by Mark Waid, and here's my take on Mark Waid. For all his insanity, the man is not well. The man has political brain poisoning. He has Trump derangement syndrome. He has main character delusion. He has a hero complex. He is just not well, right? Like, in that sense, in that social sense. But the man can write superheroes, especially when it comes to giving them pathos, or not even pathos, like ethos. Like, he knows what is at the core heart of superheroes, what their appeal is. So the man can write. He's an insane person, but the man can write. So there's a chance that the story at least is written well, and we might get an interesting moment or two, and we're definitely going to get some interesting art splash pages out of it. But that's the problem with DC, is that they have too much freedom. If you go, look at old video games. They went, okay, you only have, here's something, for example, old video games and the Nintendo, right? You only had so much memory to program with. Something like 52 megabytes of data, 215, I think, maybe at max. That might be pushing it. But with that limited data, you can't make super descriptive graphics. You can't put an entire dungeon master's guide of text onto a cart and have all of the possible permutations available to you. So you have to, you go, all right, how do we work and make this work within our limitations? So then, for example, Mega Man, I like to bring this one up. Mega Man, very, very simple game, 8-bit color style. When, what was it? Originally, they wanted, or what was it? It was like they wanted, it was like the color palette only had enough programming for a certain amount of colors. So if they wanted Mega Man to like change, I forget what it was. It was like if he wanted to change colors, I don't know. Now I'm screwing it up. But my main point is, if you have limitations, you have to work around them, and that can lead to creativity, and that can lead to things being unique and people going, oh wow, I didn't even think of that. Some of the best like for example, in comic books, a lot of good stories are built off of absolutely genuinely terrible moments because people are going, all right, I got to pick up the pieces here. So limitations can work, and I think limitations need to be put back on DC, because this whole everything is canon nonsense and this whole the multiverse, one of the things, this is just like a sort of side rant, one of the things I used to love about DC, the DC Marvel dichotomy, is that while Marvel had a multiverse that was a true multiverse where it was endless and expansive, and you could have a world that was Earth 900, 416 and 1, the Earth where Peter Parker ate, Wheaties this morning instead of wheat cakes. Like, that was sort of neat to see, like, that, that is what a multiverse would be. A lot of these universes would be really mundane. The cool contrast to that was DC, who said, we have 52 worlds. That's it. They're all distinct, only 52. And so with that, it was like, okay, cool. These are all 52 different unique places that all have their different unique stories, and they all matter, and they all can't just be swapped out, right? You can't just swap out Superman with the Justice Rider Superman, or with the Just Imagine Stan Lee Superman. Like, they were too distinct. But now DC is on that same bent again of there are endless multiverses. They're all everywhere. Everything is blah, blah, blah. So now it's just like, okay, cool. Again, just no stakes. Both, yep, Andrew and Leon have it both here. If everything is canon, nothing is. Nothing matters. And that's literally what it is. I want to be able to put this argument into better words, because I know that there's like a last blow that I'm just like not landing on. And if you guys have talked to me, or you know me, or you're my friends, or you've been watching the show, I talk about this idea a lot. So, man, it's just, when everything is canon, nothing is. Yeah, that's like the stamp on this. Let's see. Jingo says, DC and Marvel should erase most of their recent canon and not allow any of the mistakes to happen again, or hire people who change the characters beyond what they are. So I actually agree with the erasing recent canon, because there has been nothing in recent, like 616 canon, that has been sort of worth anything. There are occasional bright spots. I've really liked the Venom books. I've really liked the it might really just be the Venom books that I've liked. Yeah, I think it's really, I mean, we talked a couple weeks ago, there were some Krakoa books I liked, but it wasn't because it was Krakoa based. It was because of the story it was telling was like a really good story there. So I think we do need a big reset. I know Zero is here. I don't know if Zero is still here, but Zero is of the opinion that we should reset everything back to right before Kamala Khan, or like right after Kamala Khan got her powers. And I'm like, I think that's a little too far. We've got some things. There's some good things that you can salvage, but I definitely think, I think Marvel needs a big reset. And this has been one of my biggest complaints about Marvel, about comic books for a long time. Secret Wars. When Marvel was doing the Secret Wars, the comic book series, they promoted that thing as, this is it. This is our crisis. Doom has ripped everything apart. The old worlds no longer exist. This is your new status quo. Holy crap, everybody get in here. We're gonna, this is the start of a new Marvel era. And honestly, the fact that like Marvel never really had that, so they were building on 50, 60, 70 plus years of canon, admittedly a very, very, very daunting task. I mean, we've already seen them do a full continuity reset with the first Ultimate Universe. Admittedly, that was a separate universe, but it was still sort of that same concept. The problem was after, so I don't know if you guys remember, but Secret Wars was originally planned as like a 10 issue series. Halfway through, they decided, oh, we got to give it two more. It went through massive creative like overhaul halfway through, so they had to add two extra issues onto that series. Now, you can tell in the lead up to that midway point in the story, the intention was probably, for all intents, like for everything that they were indicating, a complete reset with some heroes possessing minor knowledge of the world that came before, the ones who were on the life raft, right? So Spider-Man, Peter Quill, T'Challa, Reed Richards, Cyclops, Captain Marvel. I think She-Hulk was on. I don't think She-Hulk was on there, but Miles was on there. Like, that was supposed to be the plan. Some halfway through, they got cold feet, and they changed their plans to the point where the only real thing of consequence that came out of that big Secret Wars event, that big thing that destroyed, or not destroyed, but like disrupted all of their series, was a giant line-wide publishing thing. It sold bunches of comic books because people were actually interested. It all boiled down to Miles is in the 616 now. And it's like, that doesn't help your problems. If anything, that compounds them. That makes it even more confusing that now we have to add this element in to all of the past stories that we had before. It was such, to me, it was like the biggest like loss in a game of chicken ever by Marvel. That was probably where a lot of Marvel's writing problems started. And yeah, like Andrew says, Marvel has never truly hit the reset button, just pussyfooted around it. They need to just stomp on it. We need to go back to close to zero, or you know what? I would propose this to you, DC, or to Marvel. We don't even need to go back to the origin. We got to reset everything. Why don't you reset everything and sort of drop us 6 months in? I don't know. That just sounds like the Ultimate Universe, and I realized that halfway through saying that, and that's because the Ultimate Universe is really, 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 really good. But yeah, I just, you've got to do something here, because otherwise, yeah, it's just it builds, and the tower gets too messy, and the tower eventually crumbles. And if you don't rebuild it and you just keep building on top of it, it's not a good foundation, and everything is just going to crumble again. Hey, Timon, enjoy go Brazil. I'm loving all these World Cup qualifiers and skirmishes and everything lately. The US one a couple days ago was really fun. Side note for American sports, did you guys see we lost a friendly scrimmage game of American touch football to Japan? Like, it wasn't an NFL team or anything, it's some whatever, but like, that's our sport, and we're the only ones who really play it. And Japan, they Eye Shield 21 the fuck out of us, okay? The score at the end was 41 Japan, 21 America. Like, we got shellacked. I don't know. I just thought that's really funny, and any excuse to bring up Eye Shield 21. Flex says, I remember when DC's original pre-crisis multiverse was mostly used to keep different properties separate, including the first volume of Shazam, Captain Marvel. That was what the original one was. It was sort of to keep their, we have our Fawcett Comics, which is the Shazam family. We have the Charlton Comics, which is Blue Beetle and The Question and that stuff. We have DC Comics, and then we have, the original run of DC Comics before we sort of rebooted it into the Silver Age. So that was always just a lot of fun. And then, yeah, nowadays it's just everything exists. There was an absolutely stupid page that I saw that made me, at first I was really happy about it, and then I was really angry at it. Let me see if I can find it. Do I have to use the Reddit upload? The Reddit upload is going to be stupid and doesn't work. You guys know the Reddit uploads of this crap never work right. Please tell me that is not literally the only image of it people have uploaded to the internet. Well, it looks like it is. So we're going to have to do something about this. Let's see. All right, whatever. I hate you, Reddit. We did it, Reddit. So, don't know if you guys saw this. This is from... So, there's this concept in Batman comics called the Batman of Zur-En-Ah. In the Silver Age, Batman of Zur-En-Ah was a literal alien version of Batman who was inspired by seeing heroes' exploits on Earth through a telescope, took on the identity, and it was sort of like if Superman had a Batman theme, because the Zur-En-Ah Batman, he could fly, he had strength, it was all that kind of fun stuff. Good little wacky Silver Age adventure, or Golden Age adventure, if you will. In 2008, 2009, when Batman Rest in Peace was happening, Grant Morrison brought back the concept. And he brought the concept back as it is a partition of Bruce's mind that he uses to sort of, in case anything goes down, he always has this like base personality in the back of his head that can always run on instinct and help him do his Batman job. Like, I will always be Batman, even if I'm mind controlled or I lose my... That kind of, like, plot point. So, I know that, in particular, I know some people didn't like it. I know, in particular, Andrew is here. If he's listening, I know he's not a big fan of it. But that original Zur-En-Ah twist, I liked. I liked that idea of giving Batman this... To me, that's like a thing. That's what Prep Time Master would do. He would make sure he had a partitioned drive in his brain as a failsafe. In recent years, they took that concept a bit further, and they've now turned it into it's Batman if Batman like went full justice, didn't really, black and white justice, didn't look at the context of any situation, just went off of like initial perception. And so in doing that, they recently revealed, so right here, this page shows that every Batman in the multiverse has a Zur-En-Ah personality, which a little stupid, but you guys know me, I like my alternate costumes. I like Zur-En-Ah. I like old school copy or like concepts of the multiverse. So I saw this page and I went, that is at least a little neat to my like inner teenager, right? There's the Dark Knight Returns Batman. He's got a Zur-En-Ah. There's Adam West Batman. He's got a Zur-En-Ah. Michael Keaton, New Batman Adventures, freaking Super Friends Batman is there. The Brave and the Bold Batman, honestly, probably one of my favorite Batman incarnations in history, right there front and center. So I went, little dumb, but kind of cool. I get it with the whole multiverse theme. You want to know something, folks? This isn't just saying that every Batman has a Zur-En-Ah personality. This page is revealing that all the Zur-En-Ah personalities are somehow in contact with each other throughout the multiverse. That this is some sort of pan-multiversal, omni-multiversal thing that Batman can do with this mind hack. And I just hate it. I just hate it. It ruins the concept for me. It shouldn't... You're getting too much into that weird mysticism, weird superpower stuff. Like, if you want Batman to have Zur-En-Ah, make it that like emergency personality. Don't make it this multiversal constant thing. I don't know. It's just, again, I'm just kind of sick of multiverses at this point. I think everybody is. I'm not saying anything new. I'm not blowing anybody's mind. This is not a hot take, but this is the sort of crap that makes me angry, is when they just unnecessarily try to make concepts bigger than they are, or at least when they execute them very poorly, because there is a way this could have been done well. I don't have one off the top of my head. I just know, you guys know my thoughts. There, 99.9% of the time, there are no bad ideas, just bad executions. And that's what I think is going on here. But that doesn't change the fact that it's overall disappointing. Yeah, it's a Bat Hive Mind flex. It's I guess Hive Mind is the right term for it. Yeah, I was gonna say like communication line, but I guess Hive Mind does work, because they don't all stem from the same place, but they can all communicate with each other. It's just, it's really dumb. I also just think some Batman wouldn't do this. Like, I really don't know why Adam West Batman has Azura in awe. I don't know why Dark Knight Returns Batman has Azura in awe. It's just very, very weird. Yeah, Zur in awe 89. The Zur in awe 89 is also one of those goofy ones, but I don't know what it is about that image right there that is, it's like, it's so bad goofy that it circles back to like, it's kind of neat. It's Michael Keaton Zur in awe. I think it is because it's so bad. It's like, did you even try, artist? Was that your best shot at doing a Michael Keaton Batman? Leon, my boy, he says, I was enjoying Secret Wars as I read it on release monthly. Little did I know mere months later was when I would give up Marvel Comics. I mean, yeah, I remember being so excited. We talked about this, gosh, longtime viewers. What was this, like, month or two ago now? Like, I remember when Secret Wars was coming out, I was so into everything that I was seeing. I was like, okay, cool. We're finally getting, like at the time, things were nothing was really happening in the comics. That was when X-Men was in their sort of lost years because Marvel was trying to ignore them. That was what was it? Like the Assault on Pleasant Hill Avengers storyline that didn't really do anything. It was just a very, the Ultimate Comics line. That's when we were post Cataclysm, and the only real Ultimate book was like All New Ultimates or whatever it was, where it was like Miles, Black Widow, like Jessica Drew, Ultimate Jessica Drew, Bombshell, and like two other people who I can't remember. I think Cloak and Dagger. It was a really, really bad and boring book with some really just shitty artwork. I remember just being like, I loved the Ultimate line when it was coming out. It was one of my favorite things when I was like a young kid. As a teenager, I remember following everything. If I went and I found my long boxes, I'd probably have every Ultimate issue up through like Ultimatum #2. I swear I think that's what I got up to, right? Like, I loved the Ultimate Universe. And so damn it, why did I blank again? I really hate that I keep doing this today. I have no idea what's oh, that's right, Secret Wars. So yeah, like I was like, it was like heartbreaking watching just this awfully drawn, awfully written Ultimates comic, which was very clearly like they are hanging on to this publishing line, this thread, like by a thread, and it needs to go. Like, this is just sad at this point. So you had like all of this just sort of blah stuff that was going on. And so along comes Secret Wars, and along comes Marvel saying, we are going to smash that reset button, right? Like, that was what they were advertising it as. Again, we had CNN articles with that very with issue 1's cover, where all the heroes were sort of like falling into the crackling void, and it was like, the Marvel universe is finally coming to an end. It's getting its own crisis. It's being reset. And I remember being excited. I was like, finally, we can sort of wash all of this off. We can reset some things. We can retcon. We can get to a better place. And then I was even still really excited when we got the Battle World stuff, because I still assert that the Battle World miniseries are some of the most fun comics and best comics we've gotten in a long time, because all of those comics, for those who don't remember, they're like 5-issue miniseries that all focused on sort of a different battle world, and all the battle worlds were in and of themselves based on like certain storylines and concepts. Like, there was a battle world based on the Civil War story, and there was a battle world that took its inspiration from 1602. And so all these creators got together, and they were allowed to basically, because of the whole Doom's blowing up the multiverse, they got to do whatever they wanted with these settings. And they got to do a lot of fun things. Play with some characters who normally wouldn't interact, give some other characters some new cool things to do, explore some ideas that they were basically like a whole bunch of mini what ifs. Right, there you go, Leon. Battle World Old Man Logan was awesome. That was one of the best ones. I 100% agree with you. The Civil War one was one of my favorites. Renew Your Vows, Amazing Spider-Man, that was where one of those came from. The Weird World one was really, really, really surprisingly good. There's an Amazing Fantasy one that had like Barbarian, Conan, Captain America. That one was really freaking good. But yeah, so like all these books were like mini what ifs, and then so I'm reading it monthly and I'm going, these are awesome. Marvel has that spark. It's here. And then to the point of, we get that first or second issue of Secret Wars, and literally all of my favorite, like my main, not like none of my waifus, like there's no Jubilee, she didn't make it on or anything, but my favorite actual like Marvel characters, they were all on Reed Richards's life like boat to make it into the next universe. You had Star-Lord, and this was before Bendis Star-Lord, so he was still really, really cool. You had Peter Parker, you had Reed Richards, you had freaking Cyclops. I was like stoked. I remember being like, how often does a comic fan, when they have a wish list of like, I want to see all of these characters do something, how often do they get it? I got it. I remember being excited. There's that awesome moment where Cyclops cracks open the Phoenix egg and like becomes the Phoenix again. There are just all of these moments. Assad Ribick's art is fantastic. And then it all ends with like, oh, the only thing that has changed is that Miles is in the 616 now. And Doom's face is restored. And then that got undone like really, really, really fast. The only cool thing I think that I can think of that moment gave us, that whole, we're just going to retcon it, now it's Miles in 616, is the Ultimate Universe reboot that they just did. The very first issue of Ultimate Invasion, which is the mini that kicked off the whole, what is it now? The 6160. In that issue, the Maker, my favorite villain in like all of Marvel, he, after Omega Red, and maybe Venom, because I mean, come on, Venom is just so cool. But, damn it, I did it again. The Maker. In Ultimate Invasion, the Maker goes to Miles, and there's this really good, tense exchange where the Maker, he confronts Miles, and he's like, I know that you and I are the only survivors of that universe. Nobody else remembers it. You and I are the only two people who know things were different. And he goes, do you want to come back with me? And Miles is like, no, like, are you kidding me? I'm good. And the Maker just like hands him a card, and he's like, if you ever want me, you know where to find me. And then he Makers out of the room. And like, I like that. That's creepy. That's a good way to take something that was awful and make it good. So shout out to that. But again, it's recovering from an awful fall. I wish we didn't fall in the first place, but that little tiny recovery at least put a smile on my face when I was reading that issue. Jingo says he would go way back and retcon everything back to the early 2000s. Remember Joe Quesada saying that 616 crossing over with Ultimates would mean they have no more ideas? Dude, I love that quote so very much, because they did it with Spider-Man, and I remember being like, oh, okay, so you broke it, like, there you go. Then they did it with Spider-Man 2. They did it again. And then they did it with Secret Wars. And I was just like, you guys, like, that was the, like, Jingo, you and I are pretty similar in, like, our comic memories and stuff. So I'm sure you're like me, where I have that as a banner in my head so that I always remember that is something they said. Because I remember that being such a funny, stupid, or like, I thought that was a smart line when they first said it. Like, yes, you're avoiding a trap that a lot of comic publishers fall into, which is we start off with something good that's fresh and new and detached, and then we throw everything from the old continuity onto it and we just weigh it down. Look at the New 52. That's what happened with DCU and Convergence and Rebirth. 52, they decided, people don't like this. Let's just throw everything back in. They wasn't really caring about how it got thrown in there. They just brought everything back willy-nilly. Let's see. And then Jingo, this is a good point too. I am weary of reboots unless I can be assured that all canon prior to 25 years ago would remain intact, but much of the rest can go. See, that's the problem, is that unless you do, or like, hold on, let me rephrase this. I think I agree, or I do agree with you, Jingo, because they're the two ways you go, right? You can either reboot something, which is sort of taking everything back and setting it back to a previous square, which runs the risk of what's going to be thrown out, what's going to be kept. I have no idea. It could be a crapshoot, right? Like, if we reset the Marvel Universe right now, I don't know. Are we going to keep Ben as Scarlet Spider? Or are we going to say that Kane was always the Scarlet Spider? Was Ben always Chasm? Like, I will shit my pants if that happens. Do not test me, Zeb Wells. But Like, but then if you do it's not a reboot, but what would you guys call like an ultimate universe or a or something like that, where it's like a brand new continuity line, like a new initiative, maybe is like the best term. That's the sort of way you go about if you want to reset everything and go, okay, we have the basics of the character. How do we go from here? And the problem is, even with that, Jingo, and you didn't say this, but now I'm just sort of like going off the top of my head, is like, even if people go, okay, we're going to do a new publishing line and we're going to start from zero with these classic characters you love, you don't know what is going to change. There could be changes made to their origin. There could be changes made to the beginning of their stories. I mean, we've seen it all the time where with just dozens and dozens of stupid stuff, there are a lot that I'm not even like remembering off the top of my head because a lot are really, really stupid. So I hear you. I'm weary of reboots too, but my excitement, Secret Wars was the last time I was excited for a reboot, and that was literally because of what we were talking about, right? Where I thought we were going to get Marvel set back or like a new start for Marvel. When that didn't happen, I think it broke my faith in all of this stuff, and I just went, you're all stupid. Wait, there have been no... All events... Like, I can't even think of another event that sort of did anything that multiversal or big in Marvel since then. Right? Everything else has been what fucking Gang War, Blood Hunt, Secret Empire. So, yeah, I don't know where I'm going with that, but that's just what came off the top of my head. Let's see. Jingo says, Jubilee was destroyed when they made her a single mom. If she truly cared about the kid she found, she would have given him up and let him live a safe life instead. So, I disagree with that a little bit. Yes, that's sort of the comic or like the real world logic, but then if she did that, you wouldn't really have a comic book story, so I get it. That was what ruined Jubilee's character was the fact that nobody at Marvel really knew what to do with her, because I've said this before, but Jubilee and Miles Morales suffered and still probably do to a certain extent the exact same problem. They are a youth appealing sidekick, or a diverse youth appealing sidekick to a major Marvel character whose main claim to fame is an animated project that's not part of the main continuity of Marvel Comics and is later brought into the 616 to try and capitalize on their popularity. Both of them that's like the base definition of both of their lives. They get to the 616, nobody knows what to do with them. Like, we've seen Miles, right? He's retreaded Spider-Man's villains. He's got sword powers. He had his own clone saga. Like, nobody knows what to do with him. With Jubilee, you had Jubilee becoming a Cable-esque, like, gun-toting soldier after she took some lessons from him during the Gen X run. You had her becoming a mom for, like, literally no reason. And then the big comparison is both of them have been turned into vampires. Jubilee was turned into a vampire during Curse of the Mutants back in like 2010, and Miles is a vampire now in Blood Hunt. So the problem is nobody really knows what to do with them because their characters are hard. It's hard to make their characters more substantial than what they were marketed as, right? Like, Jubilee was supposed to be that, look at, she's the youth, she plays video games, she's got the sunglasses, that's your cool 90s kid character. Just like Miles is your cool 2000s diverse Spider-Man. And that's sort of where the planning ended for both of them, and they just never really capitalized on it. And that's sort of like the thing, right? Is, I don't care if you're a fan of Miles Morales. Like, I'm a fan of Jubilee, but I can at least recognize that she has not had the best, like, treatment. She's not the best character. There are instances where she's great, but on the whole, they've kind of not used her well. I'm not out here feverishly defending her as, like, you need to love her or you're a bigot. The real thing I will get you on is you need to love her or you're just a straight up bad person. No bigotry involved. You are just rotten to the core with a black coal heart. Let's see. Film Watcher says, oh yeah, he's got all the stuff from that he was talking about with Brendan at the time. It's so strange to me that That's what it was that he said. Thank you, Film Watcher. This is what Brandon Easton said when he was confronted with the awful Kuga translations. Quote, "It's so strange to me that a few so-called fans take delight in tearing down the work of others. Whether or not you personally like the translation, these books will expose the Kamen Rider franchise to a wider, younger audience in the Western world. That's a great thing." Yes, that was the exact quote. But see, that's the logic is, don't complain about this. Why are you complaining? It's going to expose it to more people. Shut your mouth. Don't complain. Like, eat it up. Eat that slop. And that is, again, that's not how you do things in a retail product selling position. You do not tell your audiences to piss off. You do not tell them to get bent unless you truly want them to get bent. This bravado, like what that is from Easton, Film Watcher, is it's a leftover sentiment of this bravado that was sparked in like I want to say like 2012, right? 2014 maybe. Wendy's was sort of the big patient zero for this, right? The Wendy's Twitter account, how it was always so snarky, and everybody went, "Oh yeah, that's so funny. You're finally sticking it to the man. Like, that's what we wanted to hear." It was funny and a novelty at first, but now everybody does it, and the novelty is gone, and now you just come off seeming like an asshole. No, all these clapping back at your customers or trying to dunk on your customers for minor disagreements or retweeting people who disagree with you and making fun of a typo they made. Like, it's completely sad. It's completely just, it's a losing formula. You're gonna have a bad time, in the words of a certain ski instructor. Flex says, "I want Ben trying to get his memories back to lead to the return of the Jackal." I feel like the Jackal just came back in something. I feel like the Jackal is hanging out. Like Miles Warren is hanging out here. I'm not going to search in that because that's going to be boring for you guys. I am pretty sure he just came back. Oh, that's right. He was in the what is this series called? The Ghost Spider miniseries, the Spider-Gwen series by Seanan McGuire from like 2 years ago. I would count it as like her second volume. He came back in that. That's the last I've heard of him. But I wouldn't mind seeing the Jackal come back. With Wells leaving the book, like we talked about last week, at this point, I do not care what it takes to get Ben back in the red and blue with the hoodie. Like, you guys know me. I am a bit of a snob when it comes to writing and retcons and how you properly do things. So I am telling you right here, Marvel, I am making you an agreement. I will let you retcon Ben in whatever stupid way you do, as long as you just do it. I don't care if in the next issue of Amazing Spider-Man, there is just a fucking page in the middle where Ben is standing there and he's looking at the camera and says, "That's all done now. Pretend that didn't happen." I just want it gone. I want Chasm gone. I want all of that gone. Jingo says, "It's why I don't like the New 52 going back 25 years ago and keeping some, but getting rid of much of it. Maybe call that a retro boot." Ooh, I like that term, a retro boot. It's just sort of a not all the way reboot, but maybe like a couple years, a handful of years back. Yeah, Andrew, like, yeah, exactly. Zero and Andrew were both there going, like, laughing at it. LOL, I get it. I've been there. Like, normally I'm like, you're going to retcon this, but at least write it well. Make it make sense in the story. This one, I literally just do not care. I just need it gone. It just needs to be, like, all right, here's one of the, I would accept, so one of the biggest middle fingers, the biggest FUs I think I've ever seen in comic books was this. So let me see if I can find the actual story, because I need to show you the pages themselves. Bum. Oh, okay. I think I have it right here. Let it load. Let's see what you guys are doing. Yeah, that is a very good point, though, Jingo. Jubilee is actually her own character and not a copy of someone else. I think that is the differentiator that has led Jubilee to stick around so much. Like, if we are being honest, and I'm putting my love for Jubilee aside, in reality, her character should not have theoretically survived as long as it did, being such a, not like a racial token, but like that 90s stereotypical token character. Especially with powers that admittedly don't do a lot, you would have expected her to go away really fast. But she was her own character. People liked her. She's stuck around. Miles, if he wasn't being completely astroturfed all the time, he wouldn't be around anymore, because everybody would go, well, we have Spider-Man at home. And that Spider-Man at home is the quality Spider-Man. Yeah, Flex, I actually liked Miles in Bombshell a lot. That was a big ship of mine. I liked the Bombshell character. I don't even know what I know they brought her to the 616. She fought Miles like one time, and now I don't know like where she is absolutely at all. Let's see. Okay, I am on the trail. I just have to find the actual book. And I can see it in my head, guys. I can see it in my head. And it makes me mad that I can't just like land on it. Because it's gotta be right here. Gotta be right here. Gotta be. Man. Okay. Let me just go to Google. Google's not even helping me here. Okay, so I clearly can't find it, but I know it off the top of my head. You'll have to take my word for it. If you want to see it, you can look it up very easily. But during the other storyline back in like 2009, so that story involved, it was a 4-month crossover over 3 different Spider-Man titles. A Friendly Neighborhood, Marvel, four different Spider-Man titles. That would have been Amazing, Friendly Neighborhood, I was wrong. It is 3 titles. It was over Amazing, Friendly Neighborhood, and Marvel Knights. And that was the story that sort of brought Moreland in. He brought him back. It gave Peter the other powers that didn't really last that much longer. It was supposed to be this big change for him. It didn't really stick. But there is one issue. So that is, given that it's across 3 different books, each book is handled by a different creative team of a writer and an artist, and they're all working off of the same story. In one of the books, there is a moment where I believe Spider-Man, in his after being killed, in his rage, being taken over by the other, he when Mary Jane comes in to sort of like be with his body and mourn, he like pops out of bed, snaps her arm by accident, and like flees. In the next issue, Mary Jane is totally fine. It picks up right after that. Nothing is wrong. Her arm is fine. In the next issue, there is a conversation between Peter Parker and Tony. And Tony goes up to Peter goes up to Tony and he goes, "Hey, by the way, what was up with? I feel like I had a memory of snapping Mary Jane's arm." And Tony goes, "Oh, you did, but I had a very quick healing nano resin blah 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 that fixed it." Okay, stupid. But then Peter and Tony literally like look at the camera and go, "There you go. There's your explanation." And I remember being like so pissed off about that, because it wasn't us, the readers, looking into something that wasn't fucking there. It was you guys screwing up and us going, "Hey, you guys screwed up. What's up with that?" You don't get to smug face at us like you were being super cheeky, or you're like, I'm gonna say gamer words. Like, I remember it's so infuriating every time I go back to those issues, and it makes me upset that I cannot find them, which is maybe I will find them. Maybe I will at some point be able to show you guys on Twitter. Oh well, yeah, I'm definitely not finding it right now, so take my word for it. But yeah, that made me so angry, like piss off. Flex says, I prefer Ben in his 96 Spidey suit. I still have sensational number 0 somewhere. So as a kid, I didn't really like that Ben suit. I don't know why. But as I've grown, that Ben suit, like Mayday's Ben suit, it's his suit. It's like the best Spider-Man suit. Like, it's just so good. Obviously, I prefer the hoodie look. That's going to be my top forever. But I really, really like Ben's. And that's not even me saying that from a Ben perspective. That's just me saying it is an objectively cool spider suit. Miles? I did not say Miles. That is bullshit. There we go. Oh. So first of all, this is one of my favorite pieces of all time. It is beautiful, right? This is just, there's Ben. He's in action. The web looks amazing. Hey, guess who drew this? So I've loved this piece of art for years now. This is a specific question to Andrew. Andrew, guess who drew this shit? I'm going to give you a second. Go for Brazil! There you go, Timon. That's what I'm talking about, boy. Let's see. And then, yeah, Andrew says, I don't give a damn about anyone who isn't Peter, but Ben's suit is badass. I only care about when it comes to Spider-Men, I only care about Peter and his brothers. Ben, Kane. That's where it ends. When it comes to extraneous spiders, like Spider-Girls and stuff, I pretty much like all of them. Well, let me rephrase that, because there are a lot of bad ones, like Maddie Franklin. I really like Mayday. I think Spider-Girl is one of the best series that Marvel ever put out consistently. It's also the only female-led book or female-led Marvel book to ever reach 100 issues on its own with no interruptions, no reboots, no anything. And I really, really, really like Aranya as a character. I've always just sort of had like a soft spot for her character. And I like Julia Carpenter when she is Spider-Woman, not when she is Madam Web. But that's sort of, keep it tight. Jessica Drew, I like her as a character. I don't consider her a Spider Family member. She's not a Spider member at all. She's just kind of there. And yes, you got it, Andrew. That's Iban! Dude, he's so good. You guys, okay, so for the past couple of weeks, Andrew and I have been gushing over the artwork of Marvel artist Iban Cobello. He drew this. He is currently drawing, what is it? Venom War. He's going to be on that. He does a lot of cover work over at Marvel. He most recently did the foil Iron Man cover for the Ultimate the Ultimates relaunch, the #1 of that. He's just so good, and like Andrew and I are just like in awe at his work every time. And so it's just, I love Iban Cobello. I'm so glad there was a period, guys, where I would say probably 2016, 17, 18 era, like that era, right? Like first Trump presidency, if you will. During that era, I had this feeling that Marvel was really draining its art talent. We were getting a lot of those cutesy books by like the She-Hulk book by the Bee and Honey Cat like creator. We were getting just lots of really low quality art. We've all seen, all those various examples going around. There's like that really big-nosed Captain Marvel. There's just like one shot of Peter where his eyes are going two different ways. During that period, we were getting a lot of Greg Land stuff. Then we were also getting a lot of low effort Romita stuff and a lot of low effort Deodato stuff. Oh, Venom War, that's what it is. Yes. Okay, I was right. It was on Venom War. So like crap. Now I don't even remember I genuinely don't even remember what I was talking about anymore. I know I was talking about Iban, and I know I was talking about all of that. Anyway, I guess it's going to have to come back to me. Let's see. Yeah, Jingo says, I think the biggest FU to fans was that recentish Young Justice comic that called fans bigots. Oh, man. You guys, we are lucky I was not hosting this show when that miniseries dropped, because I would have spent 3 months just ripping into this book. If you guys do not know what I am talking about, here, let's pull up some graphics. What was that? That was a part of an event, wasn't it, Jingo? Oh yeah, it was Dark Crisis. Side note, because of the Ultimate Universe stuff, like I know a couple of you might know this, but I've been getting back into sort of browsing back issues and buying foil stuff because I'm a sucker for shiny. And there are so many comic shops I go to that have all these foil copies of the, pardon me, the Dark Crisis books, and I'm just like, I don't want this. Like, ugh, take that away from me. I don't want that. Even though it's all shiny, you can't even get me with that. I guess this is probably the best image we're going to get. Let's get to it. So, yeah, if you guys didn't know about this mini, you didn't read it when it came out, this is Dark Crisis Young Justice. The basic premise of this book is that the modern day versions of Bart, Connor, and Tim find themselves sort of warped back to the 90s era of comic books. And so there are two elements to this book. The plot is that the three boys are transported back to the 90s Young Justice era, and while they're there, they realize they need to get out, and they realize that the reason they've been put there is because Mr. Mixelpix's son, I forget what his name is, we'll just call him Mixie Jr. Mixie Jr., they created this character, and he's essentially a straw man interpretation of us, of unhappy comic book fans, of fans who don't like certain writing trends. And I don't even mean things like with representation. I mean, like, that is all annoying. That's a separate conversation we can have, like the forced diversity and all that stuff. But basic writing tenets, right? Like, how many characters have we seen in recent years who just get introduced and everybody goes, you're better than everybody. You're on the Justice League now. You're whatever, right? Naomi got put on the Justice League after nothing. Miles and Kamala Khan got put on the Avengers. Like, immediately. Two teenagers are on Earth's Mightiest Hero. Like, you just don't do that. But so the book basically presents, it shows it. Like, I need you guys to imagine the most strawman way that I'm describing this, because I'm describing it, but the way it is executed is far worse than all this. They basically turn the 90s and they go like, oh, look, the 90s were homophobic, they were bigoted, they didn't like women, they didn't da 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 da. And the Mr. or Mixie Jr. is like, see, everything was better back then. This is what we really want. We don't want these posers. And the Young Justice boys are like, no, we're the future. Progress is better. We don't want to be with you chuds. Like, it is the kind of self-aggrandizing book that I personally whine about all the time, where you're not telling a story, you're just trying to get a swing in at your dad. You're just trying to get a swing in at your bully from high school. You're just trying to get a swing in at the girl who the boy asked to prom over you. Like, it is so pathetic and it's so not worth it. And to Jingo's point, like, not only was it a slap in the face to say that every fan who wants, better writing or to see quality return is some sort of regressive bigot, but they used the Young Justice crew for that. Like, I don't know about you guys. I don't know how much you guys are involved in Young Justice, like, fandom or whatever, or not even Young Justice fandom, but like comic book discussions. But Young Justice is regularly touted as one of, if not the perfect comic book, right? It's for the younger crowd. An older crowd can enjoy it. It's all beautifully written. All the characters are unique and they're treated well. All the stories are engaging. It's still fun. Like, everybody loves that original Young Justice comic. So to use that team, that name, that book as a vehicle for your go home chud screed, it's just like, dude, this is really sad. 2 goals for Brazil, according to Timon. Are you guys trying to make up for the fact that you guys got stomped in the last World Cup? Like, I would understand, but I didn't see this performance before. Shinkai, so basically, I'm the future, deal with it. It wasn't even that. It was more, how do I describe this? It was more, I'm the future, and if you don't like this, if you disagree with this in any way, you are an inherently bad person, you are a bigot, and you need to, like, go reflect on your life choices. We will leave you behind. Like, it's not even like, we're here, deal with it. It's, we're here, you have to like all of our characters now, or we're going to get mad at you. So it was just completely awful. Right, exactly, Andrew. Young Justice by Peter David and Todd Nauck was perfect. Peter David, forever one of my favorite comic book writers. I think he just absolutely nails all the characters. He doesn't work with a lot of characters, but the characters he works with, he absolutely nails them all the time. It makes me sad that I do not have more money to donate to his current ongoing medical problems. If you guys can spare anything, help him out. I know that Marvel is not helping him. He is not seeing a fucking dime. The man created Spider-Man 2099, and he is not seeing a dime from the Spider-Verse movies. So it's awful. It's bullshit, but I digress. Peter David's amazing. Todd Naok, his art to me, he's a good artist, but his art has a very like it has its places. It's not a house style. It's a little more cutesy, a little more bubbly. So you can't use it in everything. But when he gets when he draws great. I really have nothing against Naok. I also really like just how distinctive his art style is, because I can always go like flip, flip, flip. Oh, hey, look, a Todd Naok book. That's awesome. I know that guy. Yeah, Marvel historically is infamously bad with royalties. Marvel is, so the entire comic book industry is, but to your point, like Marvel in particular has been really bad. The only sort of, like, I wouldn't even say it's a positive, but the only sort of like the only compliments I can give to the chef is Bill Mantlo, the guy who created Rocket Raccoon. I don't know if you guys know this, but 20, 30 years ago or so, he was in a massive car crash that sort of left him very, very brain damaged to the point where he's not himself really anymore, and he needs a lot of help and a lot of assistance to exist. When Guardians came out, he didn't see anything from Guardians 1, Guardians 2, blah, blah, blah. It caused this whole uproar. Thankfully, and again, this is not credit to Marvel because they wouldn't have done this without the uproar, they eventually reached a settlement with Manlow's family where they will be providing everything he needs. Like Marvel, Disney will be paying for everything he needs for the rest of his life, which I think that is the least you can fucking do for the guy who made you Rocket Raccoon, because that character has made you zillions and quadrillions and four gorillions of dollars. Jingo says Jessica Drew was good until they had her bring a kid into the world with no dad. That entire plot line was completely stupid. Sort of bringing it back to the silver lining to like picking up after you fall. One thing I did like about that plot line of Jessica being pregnant is that when she was when the kid was eventually born, Jessica was dating the villain turned, you wouldn't call him a hero, but just villain turned average Joe Porcupine. And Porcupine was shown to be a very good, like, he stepped up to the plate to take care of the kid. He was a good stepdad. He was showing like, so I was like really happy that it was a good positive depiction of like a father and a stepfather, somebody who like loves somebody enough to step into responsibility. I thought that was a good element to that. Everything else around that story is completely stupid. And don't, just in case anybody forgot, with that storyline, if you don't know how it resolved, they literally sent Jess's kid to a farm upstate. Like, I'm not kidding. That's a goofy summation of it, but essentially, long story short, because of Jessica's powers, she gives off base level radiation sometimes. And while her kid was born with it, like an anti-radiation sort of resistance, just because of her being genetically related to Jess or whatever, something happened and he no longer has it. So Porcupine took the kid to live with Jess's like parents upstate. So I just thought that was a really funny end to that storyline. But yeah, again, very small silver lining to all of this. All right. I think then with that, let's get into our main topic of the night. Let me just pull up that trailer so we can have something to look at while we talk. Oh no, I accidentally minimized everything. No. Jingo says, Peter Parker has suffered when they made him a loser no one wants to be around. But that's the problem, though, is that that's not a recent development. That was One More Day, and they've continually kept him there. that is the problem, is that they will not allow him to grow up and marry and do anything, which is why the Ultimate Spider-Man is selling so freaking well, because that's what people have wanted to see forever. The only people who think that we want to see loser Peter Parker are like Nick Lowe and Zeb Wells. Nobody else wants that. Literally nobody else wants that. It's so bad. Andrew says, I'm old enough to remember when she was pissed off at Carol for trying to take her kid. Here's the problem with that entire storyline. It was very clearly supposed to be some weird queer baiting ship comic about, oh, look, Jess and Carol, besties, now they're such girlfriends. And it was just an awkward execution of, like, this is not the vehicle you would use to tell this sort of story. These aren't the characters that have these conflicts. It stretches the imagination too much for it to be able to be taken too seriously. Leon says, ironically enough, Doc Ock as Peter was cool again, saying that to Jingo. Again, I say this all the time. I really liked the concept of Superior. I thought it was really unique. I thought it was a good twist. And when the character was handled by anybody else other than Dan Slott, particularly Christos Gage, he was a good, solid character. But yeah, to Jingo's point, like, I don't think he needs to be married, but he has never been a loser no one wants to be around until the mid-2000s. Yeah, that is part of the what do you want to call it? The misconception Marvel creators have about Spider-Man. People relate to Spider-Man because he's a loser, right? And we know that he sort of starts off that way. He's, Aunt May and Uncle Ben aren't the most rich. He's picked on at school. He doesn't have the best boss or the best job. Girls don't really always give him attention. But we saw him grow past that in Stan Lee and John Romita's run, where he started dating girls. He went to ESU. He started pushing back against Jonah and demanding better pay. This concept that we only relate to Peter as a loser is misguided at best, because what we as fans really like is cheering that triumph. We want to relate to somebody and see them winning and going, there's hope for me. There's a man who is like me, who I emulate and has something that I can achieve, that I want to in my life. Or maybe you just see like, oh, maybe that's not what I want in my life, but that's a good person. I can see him, living and learning and growing. And that is what people connected with. We don't connect. Most people do not just want to sit at home and go, meh, my life sucks. Meh, I'm so poor. Woe is me. But you know what that is? That's the current mindset of this current generation of writers, the ones who are all self-centered and use all of these creative opportunities, whether they be books or video games or movies, solely as a means of personal therapy, for them to air out all of their past grievances, again, against their dads, against their bullies, against the ex-boyfriends, the ex-girlfriends, all of that stuff. And yeah, that's why we're at this point. They think, because that's who they are, they live on the mantra of misery loves company. That's what they think everybody else wants. But nobody really wants that like stuff. Maybe in specific instances for like effect. Think about things where, like, the death of Gwen Stacy, right? That hit you so hard, or hit readers back in the day, or like the death of Harry, because that was rare. You did not see it coming, and it was like a breaking in his world. And nowadays that happens every day. Every other week there's a new issue with who dies this week. Oh, Anna Marconi died. Oh, Ben died. Oh, Kane died. Oh, Jess died. And it's just like, all right, like what is does anybody like this? What people want, we want hope. We want heroes. That's why, like, look at the reaction every time we get a good Superman moment, like a humbled Superman moment. Everybody always reacts positively to it. I always bring up my favorite, one of, if not my favorite scene from Superman and Lois, which is at the very beginning when they're recapping Superman making his debut in Metropolis, and he saves the kid from the car, recreates the cover to Action Comics 1. And he puts the car down and he's walking over to the kid, and the kid's looking at him all awestruck, and he goes, I like your costume. And Tyler Hoechlin, he's like, all big and buff and looking over him, and he just goes, thanks, my mom made it. And it's just this warm, happy, like, that's a cool guy. That's the person we want to, like, go you, Clark. Like, yeah. And so we need to be able to have those highs and those celebrations. Otherwise, it's just getting beaten up and 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 beaten up. And nobody likes that. I mean, that's why Nick Spencer's last run on Amazing Spider-Man before Zeb Wells, that's why it got the reception it did. It's not particularly amazing. It's got some good stuff in it, don't get me wrong. It's way better than Zeb Wells' run. But overall, he does not stick the landing. The Kindred stuff is kind of boring. But at the very least, they tried to make him happy. They tried to give him a win with Mary Jane. Nick Spencer was trying to undo all of that. And that's why people give so much credit and so much leeway to that run, because that's the positivity we need to see in our heroes. It's not fun to just constantly see somebody getting slashed and slapped and beaten and bruised for nothing. It just feels mean at a certain point, right? Like, damn, does anybody like Peter Parker? One of my first video streams or first titles one of the first episodes of The Good, Mad, the Ugly is literally titled Nobody Hates Spider-Man More Than Marvel. And I go through and I just detailed his entire last 40 years of existence and how everything they do to him is to crap on him. If he gets a win, it's not a genuine win that they want him to develop as that character. It is literally just a win so that they can take it away later and cause drama. Stop resetting to the status quo, especially when the status quo is this character is a loser. I don't know about you guys, but I'm not interested in following. If Peter Parker is fucking 36 and still scrambling to find a dingy apartment and can't get a job anywhere, that's not interesting to me. I don't care about somebody like that, because it's not like Peter's been down on his luck. We know Peter as a character. We've seen his life. He shouldn't have gotten to that point. I don't know. I feel like I'm just rambling at this point. Make Peter Parker a teacher again. That was a really, really interesting arc. I thought that was a good turn. Give him back Parker Industries. I would be about that too. Yeah. Oh, and Jingo. Yeah, that's the thing that people forget a lot too, is that Pete was kind of a dick. Honestly, go back and read those old stories. Not you, Jingo. I just mean the royal you. But if you go back, Pete's a really big dick to Flash, to Betty, to Gwen even, because yeah, so he's not the perfect woo abused nerd that everybody always tries to portray him as. Oh man, Leon, I know you are already out of here, but thank you for stopping by, my friend. Always a pleasure talking to you. I'll probably tweet at you on Twitter or something over this weekend. Flex says, every time things are looking up, something tragic happens. The Parker luck. This is just a brief diatribe. I don't remember where I saw this. I think it's in an issue, or somebody was talking about it, but there's this counter argument to that I really liked, that the Parker luck is not bad. The Parker luck are not those. Oh, I was talking to Josh about this. Josh Berger over at Bounding Into Comics. The Parker luck isn't necessarily that bad stuff. Gwen dying, or Aunt May dying, or Captain Stacy dying, or all of these tragedies, right? The Parker luck is the stuff like Peter Parker marrying a supermodel. Things like Peter Parker becoming Spider-Man, even though he doesn't know what that means in the future. Stuff like saving the entire world, even though he didn't think he was equipped for it. Things like getting into a fight with Firelord and having that whatever happens where you get the advantage over it. So Josh and I was positing to me, Parker luck is actually good luck. So I think it's an interesting counterpoint. I don't know which one I personally believe in. I've always used Parker luck as bad luck, because I've always used that in reference to my own life too. But I've always thought that was an interesting viewpoint on it. Yeah, Jingo says neither of those deaths needed to happen when it comes to Gwen and Harry. And then Timon says, then 30 years later, they bring Gwen back and the death means nothing. So, to Jingo's point, I hear what you're saying, but I also sort of push back on that argument, because when you start to say things need to happen or didn't need to happen, it can get it opens up like the discussion to too many threads that can be pulled, because at the end of the day, if that's the line that somebody wants to use, you can go, well, none of this is necessary. It's not necessary for there to be a story about the Green Goblin. It's not necessary for there to be anything in this book. There's not necessary for a comic book. But to what you are saying, yes, they were probably done for shock value, but at the very least they were well done, well written shock value. Not like nowadays where right, like somebody dies and they come back the next second. My favorite example of this will always be fucking The Last Jedi, where, or no, The Rise of Skywalker, where they go, oh, or where they're like, hey, C-3PO, can you translate this to dagger? And he's like, I could, but I can't tell you because of my programming. If you want me to translate it, you have to reset my programming, and I'm going to forget all of you. And there's this really big old somber scene, and the strings play, and everybody's looking sad, and 3PO gives that like line, I think they had it in the trailer, where it's like, what are you looking at, 3PO? And he's like, I'm getting one last look at my friends. And it's like, oh, it's sad. And they boot him back up, and he lost the last like hour of his memory, or I think maybe like the last movie's worth of his memory, not everything. And it's just like, shut up. Like that's nothing. Stop trying to play with us like that. Yeah, Andrew was correct. The Spider-Man editorial room forced Nick Spencer to not pay off the Peter and MJ bit. Yeah, that's why, as much crap as I give Zeb Wells, and I need him off the book, and we will all be better off for it, the big changes that a lot of people are like myself are asking for will not come until the Spider editorial room gets its shit together, or Nick Lowe is gone, because he is just not helping any of this. Again, we for longtime viewers, you know, it's a regular bit on the show. Almost every issue of Amazing Spider-Man, except for the last like 3, there have been, the Spider editorial room always picks one letter where somebody's going, hey, I think One More Day is kind of bad, and I think most people think it's kind of bad. Do you think we can maybe do something about this? And they always pick one letter and always go, actually, everybody loves it. You just have a different opinion. But we get letters all the time where people talk about how much they love this decision, so we're going to stick with it because it's working. And it's just like, piss off. Like, stop corn cobbing. Nobody likes this idea. I do not know why I do not know why you guys are so married to this idea. At this point, it just feels like you're being stubborn for the sake of being stubborn. That you just want to fight for the sake of fighting. Because there is no creative, like, advantage. There's no reputational advantage to keeping this ruse up, to keeping it going. So, yeah, flush out the editorial room, get that back on track, and then maybe we can talk about having a good Amazing Spider-Man book someday. Yeah, Flex is, oh no, what happened to I must have closed the window, that's why there's nothing here right now. Yeah, Flex says, I want Pete's Horizon Labs days back. So that is where I think Pete should be. That's like the natural development, right? He should either be working for Horizon, or he should I think he should be a part of Parker Industries. And I know a lot of people go, oh, but that would distract him from his duties as Spider-Man, his responsibilities. And I push back on that and go, not necessarily. It just means it changes how he approaches it. Instead of going out and web slinging all the time, maybe now he creates an invention that helps save everybody, or he comes up with a new type of webbing, do more of that science angle than just swinging around all the time and punch, because there's so much to do with Peter's intelligence. His intelligence is like one of the best things I love in a Marvel comic. Whenever there's a big team up and everybody goes like, we've got T'Challa and Beast and Reed. Holy crap, Spider-Man fixed that? He's smart. He's actually got something. See, okay, so Jingo says, I hate having Peter as a scientist. Daily Bugle is too ingrained and important. So to me, I don't see it as a one or the other. To me, Daily Bugle is where he gets his start, and then from there, it's onward and upward. To me, the natural progression of Peter's life has sort of already been played out in the comics, albeit across different runs and different periods. But if we were to condense it all, like, starts off high school student, Ben dies, he starts taking photos for the Daily Bugle. goes to Empire State University on a bunch of scholarships and continues working for the Bugle, still taking pictures. Graduates, has some internships here or there, but because of Spider-Man, doesn't really go like advance in that world, still sticks with the Bugle. Over time, eventually realizes the Bugle won't be paying him that much. Maybe it's something where Jonah leaves, I don't know, but he would eventually leave the Bugle to go be a science teacher like he was during JMS's run. And during that, he gets back to his science roots. He's having more of a touch with the community. And then as he starts, doing more experiments or just talking with faculty, people start whispering, people start taking notice, like, hey, did you talk to that new teacher, Parker? He's pretty smart. And then through that, somehow he gets a link into Horizon, and that's where he becomes a Horizon scientist. Because to me, like, Peter is smart, and I always want to just recognize his intelligence, because I think that's a core part of his character. See, Jingo, you're not wrong, Jingo. Taking photos can be a prestigious and well-paying career, but one, Pete's not a photographer by trade. He literally only does that because he can get those photos of Spider-Man, and it's really easy money. And then, yeah, like Andrew points out, Pete's always been a scientist. Like, from the very beginning, that's always been his passion. I mean, the reason he became Spider-Man is because he went to go see a science demonstration at the college. Like, who does that? Like, only big old nerds. And then, of course, there's the developing of the web fluid and all that stuff. So I think, like, that's the path that Peter should eventually get on, but I agree that it shouldn't be direct. He has to not stumble, per se, but sort of, it has to be a challenge for him to get there. The problem is the real Gwen wasn't brought back, and I still think she was better matched than MJ, and she wasn't as perfect and boring as people claim. And I think MJ had less depth than Gwen when Gwen was killed off. I don't know about that. I personally am not a fan of Gwen Stacy as a Spider-Man love interest. I think MJ has way more to offer, even especially in those early days. I do not get the Gwen hype. I kind of roll my eyes every time she makes an appearance again because I'm just sort of tired of it. But that is a topic of personal preference. Yeah, so Flex says the super CEO thing is too Tony Starkish to me. Plus, Otto was the one who founded Parker Industries. So to me, the way I would have played that off, Flex, is yes, Otto founded it, but when Peter comes back, it falls into his hands, and in sort of a meta sense, I always saw that would be his sort of exchange for having had his life ruined by Otto, where everything went awful. He's on the outs with the superheroes and MJ and Aunt May and everything, but at least he's now he's now at a new precipice of his life. What does he decide to do with it? Now, I don't think he should be super CEO particularly. I think I've had this talk with Andrew before. I do not think being an Iron Man, like responding to all these calls and everything, is how he should do it. But as you grow older, he recognizes, like, I can't jump around as much anymore. I can't web swing. How do I shift what I am doing in my crime fighting? He still goes out and he crime fights at like night or whatever, but he realizes things have to shift. And then, of course, you can bring in May or Annie or whoever you want and do all that sort of stuff. So there's a lot to do there. My basic thesis of this discussion, though, is just that we need to allow our characters to grow and evolve and move past their low points, because if they don't, why are we paying attention? Why are we here if we're just going to get reset to the same point every day? Which is where I feel, at least this audience and everybody watching in the VOD and the replay, I think that's where we're all at. We're no longer being suckered in by solicits saying, here's the death of a character, or here's a big change, because we all just know, all right, I'll see you in 5 days when you become, when the status quo reverts. We went over this with Gold Goblin Norman, right? Zeb Wells tried to tell us, oh, Norman's a good guy now, it's going to be great. And everybody went, no, like, this is literally not going to take. Like, I don't know what you want. Dan Slott was on Threads earlier today trying to defend that plot line by going, oh, there have always been stories where Norman hits his head and he's been good. It's a big staple of the 70-year Spider-Man history. We do it all the time. And it's like, Slott, it's happened like twice. And That's including like the Zeb Wells run. That's not an accurate depiction of what happens at all, right? Like or okay, 3 times. It happened in like the 80s after the first Goblin fight. It happened in the 90s right before all of the Circle of 4 stuff went down, or Circle of 6, whatever it was, went down. And then it happened in Zeb Wells' run. It's not something that Marvel uses all the time as a tool, you jackass. Right, exactly. Slott needs to stop talking. He'll sound smarter. He just needs to get off of Twitter is probably the best advice I could give Dan Slott. Ooh, Flex. Yeah, like I like that idea. He could use Parker Industries to sponsor the Avengers like he tried to do before. There's a good like key to that, and maybe Parker Industries develops, like the Avengers cards and the General Avengers tech. I don't know. There's just like a whole world of possibility that we could get into on that subject. But we have been on that subject all night. We are at the 2-hour mark for the show. So in the interest of making sure we do not spend all night here again like we do some nights, why don't we, folks, get on to our main topic of the night? That's right. In case you guys missed it last week as part of the Summer Games Fest season during the Nintendo Direct, we got the announcement that Capcom will be releasing the Marvel vs. Capcom Fighting Collection for Switch and PS4. If you guys don't know these games, you should. I don't even know where to begin. So, like, you're going to get Marvel Superheroes, Marvel vs. Street Fighter, X-Men Children of the Atom, Marvel vs. Capcom 1, Marvel vs. Capcom 2. These are my favorite fighting games in the entire world, because everything that I like, and maybe this is one of those chicken and the egg things, because like I think this game and this series and everything about it influenced what I like in media. Lots of bright colors, lots of really expressive movement, lots of beautiful sprite art, lots of just like attention to detail. The way they translate like comics into sprite work, these are some of the most gorgeous games ever made, and I am just so excited that they are bringing them back, because I don't know if you guys remember wow, it was back when I was in college, so this has got to have been like 15-20 years now at this point. Okay, no, not 20 years, I'm not that old, 10 years probably, but they released something called the Marvel vs. Capcom Origins Collection, which was just Marvel vs. Capcom 1 and 2, and it was kind of a bad port. It really wasn't great, but that was sort of the last official time we ever got any of these games on a regular normal system. So I'm excited to have all of these. They're going to have a bunch of features. You can see right here, we got gallery pieces where you can look at this art. I don't know. I feel like if you guys look at all of this and then you look at me and what the things I like, the things I talk about, you can see, oh yeah, this is where it all started. This to me is like the perfect marriage of comic book aesthetics and anime aesthetics. And it's like Onslaught's here. I remember losing my mind at seeing Onslaught in this game. He's so cool here, even though he sucks so hard in the comic books. Like, it's so great. And yeah, these are very old games, Reeve, but they've kind of never really been topped. We don't really get this really, really fast-paced, very visual flair style of game anymore. The closest we get is Guilty Gear and Dragon Ball FighterZ, the latter of which I play. The former I love to death, and I love the characters, but if you've never tried to play a Guilty Gear game, fuck that noise. It is so hard to do decently at all in those games, because you've literally got to do like calculus just to do a fireball in that game. And yes, Reeve, very old. Yeah, I'll take that. I am very old. Especially, I just had my birthday. I'm over the hill. I don't even know what the hill is considered anymore. I'm 34 now, but still. I'm feeling it. I'm really feeling it, in the words of Shulk. But, yeah, like, where do we even start with all this? Like, all of these games are... It's such a good celebration of all the old... So... what am I trying to say here? So the way I sort of see it is that, and let me raise an example and then I'll bring it back. Um, yes, I do, Andrew. You those. Well, that's why I didn't use a hard T. I was really feeling it, right? I didn't use a hard T. I promise. But so over the last yeah, like I said, example. Then I'll bring it in. Over the last few years, we all know Marvel media has been complete crap. Whether it is comic books, whether it is their live action shows, whether it is the MCU, whether it's whatever they might be putting out at the time. The only thing that really has been good from Marvel consistently has been their Japanese manga offerings. So their Deadpool Samurai, their Trick Reverse or whatever it is, the one that the Yu-Gi-Oh creator did, rest in peace. So that stuff's been good, but everything else has been sort of awful. But throughout the years, there have been some good interpretation. There might be a scene here or there in a comic that's really good. There might be a character trait from a television show that somebody thought, I really like that for Jean Grey or something. So you have all of this. As a whole, the last couple years have been crappy. There are instances where things are really good. What Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3 does to me is it takes all of that good stuff and it distills it into one package where it takes in it all, it respects it all, and says, here's a good Marvel thing. It's disconnected, but you can see all the influences. It's got all the stuff. You're gonna love it. That's what these games sort of feel like with the 90s era of Marvel stuff. Because if you guys remember, the 90s were pretty rough for not just comic books, but not just Marvel, but comic books in general, with the rise of the speculators market, with the bottoming out of the speculators market, with variant covers, with relaunches, with all of that stuff, all those collector trends that we hate nowadays, they started back then. But even so, even in terms of storytelling, it was kind of a rough go. We know that there was Spider-Man Chapter 1, the attempt to reboot Amazing. There was some really bad Avengers runs that went down. So things were kind of rough back then. But these games, they bring in all the stuff that was good about those time periods, right? You have the classic X uniforms, the yellow and blue for Wolverine, the blue and yellow for Cyclops, that come from the animated series. You have all these bright effects that really sell that they're using super powered moves. You have the soul gems are in Marvel superheroes as pick-upable items that you use to enhance your powers. Like I just pointed out, fucking Onslaught is the main boss of Marvel vs. Capcom. And when I read an Onslaught comic, I go, I remember what happened with this. This was something. But when I see him here, I go, oh, hell yeah. This is what I'm talking about. Or when we look at Iron Man. Iron Man in this game, proton beam, all of that stuff, that's from the 90s. Those are his big, stupid 90s Rob Liefeld guns, and they look cool. It's one of those things where they play it with such sincerity. Everything in this game is brought with such sincerity that it comes off as cool. When they do things like have Jubilee come out in her bright yellow costume and use her fireworks as an assist attack, they're not doing that and going, nudge, nudge. Isn't it so funny that we put Jubilee in this game? Nobody would have ever put Jubilee in this game. Isn't she so stupid? They're going, Jubilee's in this game. Check it out. It's Jubilee. And like I was saying with that combative marketing that's sort of fading out, people want authenticity. We want to be excited. That era of unnecessary nihilism is sort of on its way out. And nowadays, we want to know that you're excited about the same thing. We want to know that you're going to treat us with respect. We want to know that if we give you money, you're not just going to turn around and slap us in the face with it. So I don't know. I'm just beyond excited for these games. Fun fact, in case you guys didn't know, so there's one game here that obviously is not a fighter, and that is The Punisher. It's a 2D side-scroller. You pick either Frank or you pick Nick Fury, and you travel across the U.S. trying to get revenge on the Kingpin. The reason it is included in this game or in this collection is because that is the very, very first game that Marvel and Capcom produced in their partnership, and that paved the way for everything else that we eventually saw. All the Marvel superheroes, X-Men Children, MVC2, blah, blah, blah. So it's sort of just honoring it, being here you are, thank you for your service. It's a very good game. I mean, I'm sort of partially biased to 2D beat 'em ups. You guys probably know that, given my love of Musos, which are basically just 3D versions of the same concept. But there is a note that they are removing the Punisher that is included in this collection will have some of its ending images, like the images in its arcade ending, removed. They haven't confirmed what they are, but if you've played it, you will probably know what they are. I have an article for it on Bounding into Comics if you want to see more. But the end of the game, the last shot that Nick and Frank are looking out at on the sunset is the Twin Towers. And so I'm pretty sure that's what's going to get removed. It is censorship. It's really stupid. And I thought, like, at this point, it feels a little outdated. Like, are we all still really that sensitive about the Twin Towers having happened? I get it, but I still think it's, like, a little much, guys. Unfortunately, so you guys know me. I'm an anti-censorship to the core. This is one of those things that's sort of hard to get mad about. And maybe you guys can open my perspective, because this is just sort of one of those things that we have to deal with in America at this point. I don't like it, but Twin Tower sensitivity is still running rampant here. And there's no amount of discourse or tweets or article hits that we could produce that would ever sort of change that sentiment. That's going to be something that needs to or naturally and organically happen. And I unfortunately am not the arbiter of that. I don't have any say. I'm not on the Council of 9/11 joke approvers. I wish I could be, but they are not. You know, I sent them a very nice what you call it, like application letter. I wrapped it in a big box. I put a nice little music box that ticks the entire time. I sent it away. I made sure I coated it in baby powder so that when they open it, their hands will be nice and, you know, dry and safe when they handle the letter. I have no idea why they haven't opened the package yet. But yeah, it's dumb, but that's what is going to be probably taken out. There's not a lot of people are trying to say that they're going to censor. There is a stage in Marvel vs. Capcom, or let me rephrase that again. In addition to that Punisher bit, the notes that Capcom have given for this collection, they say that Marvel vs. Capcom is going to have some stages edited. And a lot of people have been leaping to presume that this means the bathhouse stage with where you can, you know, knock each other into the bathhouse, out of the bathhouse. In that stage, there is a guy who at one point in the back, like, stands up and starts, like, drying himself off. And you can see a tiny little pixelated butt cheek. A lot of people are saying that's what it is. They're going to go woke. They're, you know, oh, of course, blah, blah, blah. That's not what it is, guys. And here's why I know what it is. So, again, nothing has been confirmed, but I'm pretty sure that what they're changing in Marvel vs. Capcom is not that, but rather there are several stages, like Avengers HQ, Headquarters of Evil, the well, technically the bathhouse has an element of this too, but so every game in this collection, they've given the option to turn or toggle lighting effects, because if you guys remember, these games flash, there's lots of lights, there's lots of sprite work happening all the time. If you have epilepsy or whatever, it's an option for you just so you can play. The problem is that affects, when you toggle that, it is a separate layer of graphics. Those, like, so you have your backgrounds, your player sprites, and your sort of effect graphics, which will be your, you know, your hit markers, your 26 hit counters on the side, that kind of stuff. That last stuff I just described, the special effects, that's what can be toggled on or off, because it's just as simple as saying, instead of using that overlay, use this overlay. You can't do that necessarily that easily on the stages, because some of these stages have flashing elements on them. They have, like, Avengers HQ has various Avengers being flashed on the screen. The Headquarters of Evils have a couple villains, so on and so forth. So I'm pretty sure that's what they're going to change. They're going to be reducing the frequency of how often those screens flash and how often they change to bring it in line with the epilepsy warning. The reason, and my biggest, so aside from the fact that is, you know, those flashing light elements can't be affected in the same way, my main reasoning for this is that why would they censor one dude in a background with a single pixel butt cheek and not Jin Saotomi, who his entire taunt is blowing off of his, like, exploding out of his armor to the point where he's in a sumo wrestler thong and rubbing himself with his scarf like he's, you know, drying off from the shower. If you're not censoring that, and you really can't because he's a main character, you're probably not going to be affecting one singular butt cheek. So that's probably like the most negative things to say about this collection, or the Punisher change. I'm still just really excited about this. All of these games, they're fast, they're lightning quick. What do I even truly say, guys? Like at this point, I am a kid in a candy store going, give me this. Like, these are the things I want. I don't even know. I have loved Marvel vs. Capcom so much, and now I guess I'm just gonna get into story time to wrap all this up. But like, I remember the first time I ever saw one of these games. I was living in San Diego at the time. I was walking downtown with I was downtown with my family. We were going to go see a movie, and we went to the movie theater. And as we walked up the stairs to our theater, right next to the theater we were going into was a cabinet for Marvel superheroes. And I remember going, Spider-Man, like he's there. I love Spider-Man. I want to play Spider-Man. And so I remember I snuck out of the movie. I don't even remember what movie it was, because I was just so obsessed with, like, I have $1 in my pocket. If I can sneak out before my parents know, I can go play whatever that was. And so I remember I got out there, I played it, and it changed my life. Like, I became obsessed with Marvel vs. Capcom. I had the PS1 release of the first game, and I didn't abuse that thing, but I played it so much that if I know I have it somewhere, I genuinely wonder what the condition is, because I spun that thing so frequently. I signed up. The manual for that game had a thing for the Capcom Fighting Club, which was just like a fan club that you send $20 in, you get like a keychain, a card, stupid shit. I signed up for that. That's how much I loved Marvel vs. Capcom. There were, here, I'm gonna see if I can find them. I don't know if you guys remember this, but I remember when these came out, I was like losing my mind because I wanted them so bad. And nowadays they are like extremely hyper rare. Good luck finding them. Luckily, I know I do have them. They are sitting in storage somewhere back in San Diego, unfortunately, but I do have them. Why can't I find them? Please let me see them. Let's see. Flex says, speaking of beat 'em ups, a home port of Spider-Man 4-player would be nice. Dude, that would be really, really nice. I would take an old school beat 'em up collection like that. Are you kidding me? I'm surprised they didn't throw it on here. 4 goals for Brazil. Absolute, like, you guys are just kind of going off at this point. It feels a little mean. And Jingo, I'm genuinely surprised that they didn't add an option like, here's a new feature, Black Nick Fury. Now you can bring the MCU home to you. Like, I'm genuinely sort of surprised by that. Man, I was genuinely looking at like a whole page of these last night, and now I can't find them. So I'm just gonna go back to here. Maybe you guys can. This is really bugging me, because I had like a full page where, like, here. Whoop. Oh no, did I knock all that back? Let me fix that real quick. Knocked it back a little. Woo! Like, now you're seeing the battle between, I know I should be a better host, but I'm now like obsessed and pissed off that I can't find this thing, and it's like, where is it? Why aren't you giving this to me? Shoot. Yeah. Well, anyway, this is pissing me off. Isn't this great, guys? I wish I had like a technical difficulties thing so that I could throw this up for you while I do this, but unfortunately, I have not gotten that complicated of a setup yet, because I have been slacking on improving everything. Yes, okay, fine. Fucking finally. Here is like what I am looking for. Jeez. Why did it take so long to... And now it's gone. What the hell? Okay. So, I don't know if you guys remember, but back in when that game came out, when Marvel vs. Capcom came out, they made these toys, these like Marvel vs. Capcom toys. I remember being so obsessed with getting them, especially that Hyper Mega Man, because Mega Man is in this game. I remember the fact that you can, as you can see in my stream buddy, that I remember going Spider-Man and Mega Man. Done. This is my game. My favorite comic book character, my favorite video game character, and you're putting them together and I can use both of them. I'm never playing anything again. It literally does not matter. This is the only thing I will ever play. And I was like, these toys were so hard to come by. Luckily, I still have them, but I bring them up because it's just goes to show like how obsessed I was with like everything Marvel versus Capcom. I bought these toys. They were like a childhood goal, and I somehow got them, like most of them. I think the only one I'm missing might be Cyclops. No, the one I'm missing is Captain Commando and Venom, unfortunately. They're like the two coolest ones. But I loved these toys so much that if you guys know that Mega Man figure right there, at least in my circles, that thing was so highly coveted. That thing was so rare because one, it was one of the only Marvel or like one of the only Mega Man figures we got in the West. And two, it's the only figure ever made of Hyper Mega Man, his ultimate in that game. So yeah, like this is the set. I remember being so excited for the set. Shiny Iron or Shiny War Machine, Shiny Mega Man, both of their hyper moves. Just this is the stuff I'm talking about, right? This is the chef's kiss of nostalgia of why the stuff is amazing. And then from there, like, so this is what is sort of a bummer, is that this collection unfortunately stops just short of what I would probably refer to as the best penultimate, just the defining game in the series, which is, as you guys are, whoops, not V, I don't know what that is. Oh, weird. Wow, I can't do anything right tonight. MVC3, like this game, next gen game, I cannot tell you what this game, like, so this game came out when I was in college. I went to college at UC Irvine, which is smack in the middle of Southern California. We played host to so many of the fighting game like Evo qualifiers. When I used to work for the school student center, I used to have to be the liaison between the school and all of these events. Like I would be there running their AV, setting things up, collecting their money, all of that stuff. Like, and to that end, I was really, really, really into the MVC3 scene. Not only, was it a new Marvel vs. Capcom game, which set me off like a kid in a candy store, but this game, all of my friend group in college, we all played it. There was a room on our campus that was called, it was called the Zot Zone because our mascot is an anteater. And because of that, they came up with our slogan is Zot Zot because it's just like a made up noise that the anteater makes. Whatever. But the Zot Zone was basically a big lounge room where we had like pool tables and like 10 HD TV gaming setup stations where you could rent. You go up to the front desk, give your ID to the person working. Like it might have been me, it might have been somebody else. And we give you a game and you go over and you play it. And we would basically, how in sitcoms, they always sort of like, they have their one main hangout place and the characters are always like coming and going and maybe they're there and they'll talk or maybe that was us in that room playing Marvel vs. Capcom 3. After class, I'd be like, oh, I'm going to go get in some sets. I know everybody's going to be there. I have a 10-minute break in between my shift. Oh, I'm going to go run some sets. I know everybody's going to be there. Oh, hey, do you guys know where so-and-so is? He was supposed to be here for the party. You know what? I bet I know exactly where he is right now. Like, it was such a defining activity of my college years. Everything in this game. One of the things I love about this game, how do I put this? This game series has the best habit of respecting sort of, like I said before, it's the perfect microcosm of all of these eras of like Marvel media. To my point before, like with the 2D games, all of the Marvel voice actors there, for the most part, are the voice actors from like the 90s cartoons. Cal Dodd is Wolverine. Lenore Zahn is Rogue. That's really cool. When they made 3, obviously a lot of those voice actors they hadn't been in the industry for a while, and those productions were not necessarily the newest at the time. So all of the Marvel characters here are voiced by like their X-Men Evolution, their Earth's Mightiest Heroes voice actors. And I don't know about you guys, but the Earth's Mightiest Heroes team, that's like my definitive voice for all of the Avengers. Whenever I'm reading comic books and they're on the page, that's what I remember. Like I hear this Tony from Earth's Mightiest Heroes as Tony Stark. So again, these games are so fun because even if you're not a really hardcore fighting game player, they are just a celebration of everything these franchises do. All of their movesets are made with genuine care as to how they would play and interact with the world. For example, in UMVC 3, you have Phoenix Wright, who you would think, how does he fight? But he throws out papers. His word bubbles cause damage. At one point, he can panic like that, and his swinging arms, hurt them. That's the kind of like detail and genuine thought that makes this type of game stand out from most of the slop we get nowadays. Because I can easily see, like Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, throw in Phoenix right there. I can see them just going, oh, he swings his briefcase. He smashes his briefcase. And it's like, that's basic. Like, okay, it works, but you could have done so much more. And when you're dealing with properties that are all about the over the top and the wild, and style, you can't just give a C effort. You have to go A+ all the time. Let's see. Tahillim is here. Oh, Tahillim. He says, did you see my comments? I just did right now. Obviously, I was going on my little UMVC rant there, but he says, you brought up Zur Ah earlier. I really dislike how they've turned this character into mental illness Batman. No, keep Zur Ah separate from Batman, Batwoman, plus the other one in the Ram V run. It feels like they are modernizing Batman with it, and it's not necessary. Yeah, that's kind of exactly what I was talking about earlier, where I like the alien Zur Ah Batman. I am a fan of what Grant Morrison did with the concept, where it is the fail-safe partitioned like personality that's only supposed to be temporary and emergencies. But yeah, the new Zur Ah, where it's a calculated strategy that Batman wants to use and it can communicate through the multiverse and everything, it's just making the concept dumb. You're right, they're trying to modernize him or give him a new twist, and it's just unnecessary, and it kind of ruins a really big piece of pre-existing Batman lore. Jingo says, I think Marvel would be smart to remaster the console story games from the OOs. Dude, yes. Please give me the Spider-Man Enter Electro. The Punisher game was really freaking good, the one on PS2. I just think all of those games should come back. Even Shattered Dimensions, Edge of Time, those are incredible. Every game in the past pales in comparison to like their most recent competitor. Marvel's Spider-Man 2 was pretty bad. Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite was really bad. Marvel's Avengers was terrible. And yet we have all of these games from the past that, let us do all of that stuff, but they execute it right. They're fun to play. They have good stories. They don't feel cheap and like they were just crapped out to get money from you, which I think that is probably, I think that is the closing argument for Marvel vs. Capcom is these are some of the most finely made games, the most lovingly made games, some of the most intricate games that you can possibly play, and at the end of the day, some of the most fun. Like, I highly recommend, if you haven't played it, or if you have played them, pick up this collection. You will have just a smile on your face the entire time. I know that, and again, even if you're casual, just put it on normal and enjoy the artwork. Enjoy seeing all the little cameos and Easter eggs. Again, like in the stages have Easter eggs. The Avengers HQ has Storm and all these characters popping up to appear and call into Avengers HQ while you're fighting. It's just stuff like that where you go like, that's a neat little detail. Awesome. Like, awesome. So pick it up. Video gaming is, I wouldn't say back because this is a collection, but at least we're getting something to play. I know for a fact that once it comes out, I will be playing that online. That's what I'm most excited for, is the online capabilities, because I am going to become my monster side is going to come back out with my standard. So I guess, yeah, just to wrap this up, like my standard Marvel vs. Capcom team, Spider-Man, Mega Man right there, or Spider-Man, Jin. Marvel vs. Capcom 2, you've got Cyclops, Iron Man, or it's Cyclops point, either Jin or Hayato middle, and an Iron Man anchor. Iron Man has to be the anchor because you need to be able to do that motherfucking infinite. Otherwise, you're never going to win a match. I can use Cable, but I don't like using Cable because for a long time, if you guys remember this, when Marvel vs. Capcom 2 sort of got into its groove, or like after it was out and it was sort of it was a cult classic, and over time, the roster selections got flanderized to where everybody was picking Magneto, Storm, the Mango Sentinel, and Cable. So I'm just kind of like, I know they're good and they're popular, but I just sort of want to see something else. We have all these other characters. Marvel vs. Capcom 2 has like 64 characters, and I want to see somebody else other than these 4. Show me a top-level Sansan player. Show me a top-level Ruby Hart. Ruby Hart is back, by the way. That's a waifu who I'm super excited for. One appearance only. It's a shame that her character has never been used for anything else because she rules. Hot, sexy, blonde, curly-haired pirate. Sky pirate at that. How could you go wrong? You literally can't. But yeah, guys, I think buy this collection. Throw me a friend invite on whatever console you're on. I'm probably going to pick it up for both of them. I at least at this very moment, I have the Switch one pre-ordered at the right now. Good news, this collection, everything is on cartridge, on disc. You don't have to download anything when you boot it up, which means if you buy it today, 50 years from now, you can put it in your Switch or you can put it in your PS4 while the robots are destroying everything, and you'll be able to play it. You won't have to wait for a download or a patch or an internet connection. This is the kind of stuff that we should be supporting because this is the kind of stuff that is player friendly and facilitates all of the stuff just getting better at a base quality level. I don't think there's a Steam version, Reeve. Did they announce a Steam version? If there is a Steam version, let me check that. No, I think I just missed that if they did. Let's see. Capcom games. Oh, coming. So, it is coming to the PC. Holy shit. Okay, so I guess never mind. I'll be picking up the Steam version and the Switch version for sure. Thank you, Reeve. I literally blanked on that. I did not see that the Steam version was coming. So that is probably the one where I will spend most of my time, but I'm definitely getting that Switch one just to have it physical and portable because I can see myself just playing that on the couch for the rest of my life. When I finally get my temporary cancer, Andrew, if you're still out there, that's the game that I'm going to play every night when the nurse comes to like bleed me out or whatever they have to do. And then yes, exactly. Iron Man, War Machine, infinite combo. Go! Dude, you got an infinite combo and then you got to put him down with that proton beam. That is how you end it. Fun side note, and it's just sort of full circling this. Did you guys know? All right. So, so obviously this is, hold on, where is the gallery I was looking at the other day? Because if I bring up the gallery, it's just easier for us to look at everything. There we go. So, obviously, Marvel vs. Capcom, based on video game properties and comic book properties. To the surprise of few, when this game was coming out, they actually gave, or Marvel actually did a series of variant covers for all the books they had running at the time that were Marvel vs. Capcom themed. Now, so I bring this up because one, you guys know I've started getting into collecting comics again and going for these variants, and two, here's my dilemma, and maybe you guys can all help me out here. These speak to me because it's like variant cover, very rare instance of like a Marvel vs. Capcom cover. These are official art of Capcom characters on a Marvel comic. Like this is a really rare, neat thing, and it speaks especially to me. So to that end, I'm like, ooh, I might have a new mission to like pursue in collecting. The problem is they're not particularly that good. Like they are stunningly bad. Here, let's just take a look at them. So here's X versus Rocket Raccoon. This is probably one of the best ones, and it's by Todd Knack, who we were talking about, so no surprise there. But then we've got like Chris versus Cap. This is fine. It's, if not a little weak. I feel like they could have zoomed in a little more. Just a lot of waste of space there. Ultron versus Sigma. I actually think this one's fine-ish, but Sigma's face is like a little scrunched weird. Invincible Iron Man. You got Iron Man versus Spencer. Spencer looks really fat here to me for some reason. And I don't know if I really like this overall style for the cover. This one makes me angry because this is Bengus or freaking not Bengus. What's his name? It is I can't even remember. Shit. Oh, it's Shinichiro. I forget how to say his name. Exactly. Longtime SNK artist, did the art for like Capcom versus SNK. He actually did the MVC poster art that we were looking at a second ago. Like this is his handiwork. You can tell by sort of the face. It upsets me because it's beautiful. It's a Shinko cover, but of course it's Captain Marvel. Damn, like it has to be. But this is my favorite one out of all of these because it's objectively beautiful. Then you got a kind of boring Hulk versus Ryu one. It's just, they're all kind of boring. This one's cool because it's by an artist named Chamba. I don't know if you know him. I like him. It is just a little boring, right? Like it's not bad. They're just sort of a little boring. Nova versus Zero looks all right. I don't know if I like that shading style. Hawkeye is fun. Hawkeye versus Dante, and then Morgan versus Rocket. Like they're fine. And then this cool one by Genzo Man of Dormammu versus not Hildebrand. Oh my god, I'm forgetting. Red. What the hell is his name? Red Arankar? No, not Arankar. Whatever. Somebody will remind me, and somebody. Firebrand. That's who it is. Yes, it was on Red Armor. That's the Armor. That's the name that I know him by. This is Japanese name. That's why I was like stumbling over myself. Then you've got this okay one of Strange versus Nemesis. This one I don't really like this much of Groot versus X. You can't even play as Groot in Marvel versus Capcom. Or I guess you can. It's Rocket and Groot, but still. And then a generally fine one for Miles. A kind of boring one of Frank and Pete battling it out. A fun one of Thor versus Arthur. There's more. That's right. This one's neat, but I feel like it's overly detailed. This feels like when Malibu Comics tried to do that Street Fighter series. And it's like, I recognize the characters, but it doesn't feel like the right style. Thanos versus Jeddah. And then this one was really lame. This Ryu versus Black Panther. And then a cool Ghost Rider versus Morgan. I really like this one. This is one I actually do want to actively look for. So they've got these covers. They're kind of cool, but I also feel like they're kind of lame. Like these pieces aren't the best. Like you have artists who are capable of doing really, really good translations of Western characters to anime or anime to Western, like something. And it just, a lot of these don't feel like they put in the effort that they should have. Obviously, like I like the Chamba one here. I like the Shinko one, and I like the Todd Nauk one. It just feels like we could have had better. Like I feel like this is good, but we could have had better. But I don't know. We'll see how many of these I actually managed to get my hands on. I have not found any at any of my normal spots yet, so stay tuned, I guess is all we can really say on that end. But yes, I agree with you there, Shinkai. Swap Carol and Chun-Li, 100%. That I would have run if I opened this image and it was reversed like that. I would have already been on eBay buying whatever copy I could, because that would have just blown me away right there. But with that, guys, damn, we are at 2:45. We have gone a little bit over our normal runtime, so I don't want to keep you guys any longer, so I think we'll call it right there. Go pre-order the Marvel vs. Capcom Fighting Collection. I will see you online. I will take you for a ride. Marvel Superheroes, Children of the Atom, Marvel vs. Street Fighter, Marvel vs. Capcom 1, Marvel Superheroes vs. Street Fighter, and of course Marvel vs. Capcom 2, the Punisher. So gonna be great games. Pick them up. I will see you online. As always, guys, we're wrapping it up, so I want to thank everybody who came out and hung out with me tonight, from Andrew to Flex to Jingo. That was a nice surprise to Film Watcher, to Flex, to Corey, to Reeve, to Shinkai, who I think I might have said twice, to Zero, to Moan, to Volume Dealer, to Leon, of course. I could not forget you. I hope I didn't forget anybody else there, but if I did, just know that I am so thankful to you guys that every week you stop by, you tune in, you give me the audience that makes it capable, or makes it possible for me to hang out with you every Friday afternoon, Friday evening, host this show, bug you guys with some nerdy bullshit. And for that, I thank you. It means the world to me. As always, we will be back here, same Mav time, same Mav channel next week for another episode of The Good, The Mav, The Ugly. Who knows what we'll talk about? As you guys know, the topics are decided upon whatever happens in the week. So hopefully something good, hopefully nothing bad. We will absolutely, definitely see. If you want to see more of me in the meantime, you can always check out my work on boundingintocomics.com, where articles are going up every day. People who actually know what they're talking about, people who are actually in support of the things they're saying, they're the ones reporting over there. It's the best news team out there. Go give everybody a follow. Go give the site a follow. Nerdigans, Josh, Jacob, all of them are fantastic. Peter Pischke, just they're the men, they're the women. Nerdigans, take them, give them your support. They're the best. Follow Bounding Into Comics, the website, on Twitter, on YouTube. You can check out our Bounding Into Comics live stream every Wednesday at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Is the 01 stream where I am joined by Nerdigans, Josh, Jacob, and Cider to break down the biggest pop culture stories news of the week, or the biggest pop culture stories of the week. So that's where you'll hear your Marvel news, DC, like movie, television, all that sort of fun stuff. It's a blast. Come hang out with us. I hope to see you there. This week, we do not have a last call for last minute news, because surprisingly, every clip I tried to pull of a Marvel vs. Capcom thing was either way too inside baseball, and I would have had to subject you guys to watching like 2-minute clip combo videos of an event that happened in like Denmark in 2004, and you guys have no idea what bearing it had, but I didn't want to subject you guys to that. And then, I don't need to keep you here to play the entire intro for Marvel vs. Capcom 3, as amazing as it is, because it's like one of the best cutscenes ever. Yes, everyone, we are out of here. I am going to try to play some Xenoblade tonight. I have some Bounding Into Comics work that I have to wrap up, but hopefully I will get a chance to play Xenoblade at some point this weekend. I will not let June end without at least having played it once. I will never be able to live the memes down in the server if that happens. But with that being said, guys, that's all I've got for you. Have a great weekend. Go play something fun. Go read something fun. Go watch something that you enjoy. Go have a blast. Smile. Take a break from the internet, because we all know the internet is probably one of the worst places in existence. Exactly, Reeve. Time for me to get to work. Time for you all to go have fun. With that, enjoy your weekend, and I will see you next week. Take it easy, everyone.
As the creator of Mara Jade,
Wait! I am not the creator of Mara Jade, and I want you to get out of this office right now.
I'm sorry, Zeb.
No way.
You brought
No
it on
way.
You brought it on yourself.
I don't want you here.
I'm so
Out.
sorry, George. I didn't think it would go like this.
Out.
Jen, I got your voucher.
Out! There.
I'm sorry about that. I'm so sorry. We'll have him burned and
I don't even know who that guy is.